What good folks, it's Darktry19 and welcome back to another What If Naruto Became Soldier Part 2. So like, comment, subscribe and share, but besides all that, enjoy the video. Chapter 2 Making Waves. Naruto was currently sitting on the head of the Yondaime that was one of 4 heads that was the Hokage monument in deep meditation. The now former soldier of Midgar found himself a year into his life within Konoha, and already his life was getting pretty interesting. The young blonde had kept to the shadows, as he originally planned to do while staying in the Leaf, and at the request of the Hokage examined the academy to see what he thought of their shinobi training. Naruto spent one day watching the kids around his age training and instantly reported to the Hokage, then next day stating he was unimpressed. Naruto had always been one to be analytical in his work, whether it was on the battlefield or reading people through the advancements of psychology that very few could even comprehend. As for the academy itself, it was going through the basics of things that children need to know growing up, and that was fine to learn. However, as the years progressed, Naruto saw that the teachers seemed to pamper the kids, telling them the history of the Leaf, and some other minor things about being a shinobi. They didn't specify what it meant to go into enemy territory to complete a mission and to possibly be captured by the enemy that would try to break them in various ways to get them to talk. The academy covered the basics for Chunin, which was easy enough to learn in the blonde's mind, and then expect the Jounin to pick up the slack later on. The only Jounin capable of that, it seemed, was some weird guy in green spandex shouting on about flames of youth, and even then that was a sight Naruto didn't need to see. However, what really upset Naruto, if he even could express it, the most was the Uchiha fangirls that had swarmed the academy, and were trying, as well as failing, to impress the only remaining Uchiha in the Leaf. Naruto had never actually seen a female within the soldier ranks of Midgar, but did not believe them to be the weaker gender, and there were several female What-Eye warriors he had encountered in his time to disprove the sexiest theory some people still had. In fact, some What-Eye women were much stronger than their male counterparts, and clearly showed war was not entirely a man's world. In the Leaf, Naruto found that to be the case too, and yet he wondered why the Sandaime allowed so many weak girls enter the academy. The very attempt at being the future bonded mate of a boy from a high-class clan, who Naruto noticed had shown no interest in them at all, was foolish, and needed to be dealt with soon. "Doing your daily ritual, I see," said Kakashi, as he saw the young boy sitting legs crossed in his meditation, and focusing his power through his body. Kakashi had been summoned 2 weeks after Naruto's arrival to the Leaf by the Sandaime to his office in order to inform the son of the White Fang about a potential prodigy that needed to be tested. Kakashi was intrigued at being given such an offer, since prodigies within Konoha had so much potential to do things others could not, but at the same time he was concerned that this one would be like the others, and have a lust for power that when they got older became the village's worst enemies. However, Naruto seemed to lack that lust for power look, and was quite calm, if not cold, with blue eyes that swirled with green energy that made him cautious of the boy all the same. Still, the Sandaime made the request, which the one I wasn't going to refuse, and hoped to teach Naruto a thing or two about Konoha shinobi. In the end, however, it was Kakashi who learned a thing or two about Naruto, and one simple fact that was beaten quite literally into him that day they sparred. Naruto could hurt you. He could hurt you a lot. They had entered a training ground that was restricted mostly to Anbu, but wasn't being used for the day, and decided to have Naruto be tested there. At first, Kakashi was able to keep Naruto at bay since the boy was still young, and lacked the speed the much more experienced Jounin had. The boy wasn't slow per se, as Naruto had a speed that was easily mid-Chunin, but he might as well have been compared to Kakashi's speed, and the fight would have ended sooner had Naruto not used 2 things against him. The boy's apparent magic for one, and the near Tsunade level strength that broke nearly all of the Jounin's bones upon impact being number 2. Naruto had instantly come to the conclusion from the beginning of the spar that his speed was no match for Kakashi's and decided to counter it. Just when Kakashi was about to end the spar, Naruto called upon the time-altering spell known in Midgar as Sloga, and upon using it made his opponent, to the Jounin's horror, an easy target to hit. When it was finally over, Naruto was the victor, standing over a body imprint of a crater that Kakashi was currently occupying, and the Jounin's one natural eye rolled up in the back of his head. However, to show that he wasn't completely cruel in destroying the now decimated Jounin with his fists, Naruto was able to take Kakashi to the hospital, and told them the severity of the man's injuries before leaving. After Kakashi got out of the hospital, which was a full-body cast while in a wheelchair, he spoke to the Sandaime about Naruto's abilities, and how the boy's strength could rival Tsunade's own when hitting something. What was possibly even worse, for the young boy's enemies, was the blonde didn't use chakra at all in doing it. The boy had hit the Jounin with muscles that shouldn't even exist within the human body, as far as they knew, and used a time-altering power that made Kakashi move slower than a half-dead turtle. The bottom line that Kakashi gave for the old Sandaime was this: whoever Naruto was employed to would wield a force of nature that had unlimited potential. Quite literally. The old Hokage nearly choked on his pipe at that statement. Yes. Is that a problem, Kakashi-san? Your own ritual of reading that orange book seems to cause quite an unpleasant stir among the female populace that is not healthy for you if continued. And yet you don't stop reading? Said Naruto, as he opened his eyes, got off the earthly floor, and looked at Kakashi with ice-cold eyes. Touché. Though everyone is a critic about something, Naruto-kun, said Kakashi, as he had told Naruto about the choice of suffixes at the end of people's names, and what they meant depending on how one used them in a sentence. Some more than others apparently. Is there a reason why you are here to visit me? Said Naruto, as the two had become acquaintances over the course of the year since his arrival to the Leaf, and on more than one occasion asked the other for advice. I just thought I'd let you know, I will be taking on another Chunin team this year, and you won't see me around the village so much, said Kakashi, as he had explained to Naruto about the Chunin teams, and how Jounin became senseis to 3-man teams for every kid that graduated before giving them the real test. I see. Who among the so-called potentials do you have to test? Said Naruto, as he had seen some kids worthy of being shinobi of the Leaf, and were most likely among clan-related families with maybe a few normal kids provided they trained to the point of dying from exhaustion. As usual, the teams are put together with the best, worst, and middle students among the graduates. This year, my team will consist of Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and a boy named Sai, though his last name was never told. The last one is a special case since he was requested into the academy by Danzo, but his grades are not the worst, and the two councils agreed that he should be paired with Sasuke to help the Uchiha get stronger. Haruno Sakura comes from a civilian family, with one of her family members being a shinobi back during the Shadaime's time, but none since then have become one, and even then her strength seems to be book smarts. Then there is Uchiha Sasuke, who you know is the last member of the Uchiha clan loyal to the Leaf, and is considered a prodigy of his graduating class like Hyuga Neji was when he graduated last year. In fact, Sasuke won the title Rookie of the Year, and many feel will bring the Uchiha clan back to its former glory by rebuilding the clan, said Kakashi, as he had told Naruto about Itachi, and how the young man killed his clan a few years ago. Yes. Though I would be cautious of Sasuke if I were you, Kakashi-san. The spoiling of a single child can lead to a growing form of arrogance with the said child. Unless his ego is constantly fed, I sense the Uchiha will betray the village for someone else, who can feed it more than the Leaf, and that one day could be a problem, said Naruto, as the hidden threat behind his words were clear as day to Kakashi about Sasuke's future behavior, and how Naruto would kill the Uchiha should the boy decide to betray the village. I'll try to keep him check. The councils want me to work with him the most if the team passes my test so he can develop his Sharingan to its full potential, said Kakashi, as he had been ordered by the councils to pass the team regardless, and focus on the Uchiha right after, since the Sharingan was the highest priority in their minds. I'm sure they will pass your test using teamwork, though the chance of them succeeding is still in the minority given how the Uchiha will not work with anyone. Haruno seems to be another fangirl like the others and the most devoted one at that. The boy Sai may be the means for the team to pass your test, but I could be wrong about that, and the only way to see what happens is to observe them, said Naruto, as he got off the ground, and began levitating off the ground much to the nervousness of Kakashi. Magic or not, man was not meant to fly unless they had wings, and right now Kakashi did not see wings on Naruto. I take it you will be watching my team? Said Kakashi, as he saw the now hooded boy nod, and a look on his face that spoke of possibly finding some form of mild remote amusement in seeing his Chunin team try to pass. Yes. Out of all the teams trying to pass, yours is the only team that borders on the 50-50 chance of the passing or failing line, and given the team itself, someone must keep an eye on them should things go wrong, said Naruto, as now began to fly off the Hokage monument into the distance, and Kakashi wondered if things were going to get out of hand. A few days later, the bell test for Chunin team number 7 had not gone according to plan like Kakashi hoped, with the team learning teamwork to take the bells from him. Instead, it had become a dramatic failure, with the reason for it failing was because Uchiha Sasuke wanted to do things by himself, and his biggest fangirl Haruno Sakura got into an argument with the ink-using pale-skinned boy known as Sai for calling Sasuke several vulgar names. The girl's loud screechy voice had clearly given away her position, pink hair aside, and gave Kakashi the means to take the two out before going after the Uchiha. Sasuke had tried to get one of the bells himself, even getting a chance to touch one, which was impressive in itself, but ultimately futile in the end, and was reduced to look like a headless body with the actual form of the Uchiha below the neck being stuck in the earth. And this was in the beginning of the test, with several more hours to go. In that end, however, Sai had managed to work, involuntarily mind you, with Sasuke to form some kind of teamwork in the attempt of getting Kakashi's bells, but failed in the end, with Sasuke being tied to the wooden post, and the other two were told not to feed him. However, Sakura, being the loyal fangirl that she was, couldn't stand by, and let her beloved starve after trying too hard to get the bells himself. It was ironic that it was Sakura's fangirl-like tendencies, which proved to help Team 7 pass Kakashi's bell test, despite the fact that it was clear Sasuke didn't really care about the idea of using teamwork to get stronger, and for the moment just acted like he was listening to it. Sai was writing things down, though if he was really writing it down, or drawing something to pass the time, was unknown. Sakura of course paid attention, since that was what she did in class, and thought this would help her win Sasuke's affection. After Kakashi left, a certain blonde boy named Uzumaki Naruto, who was currently standing on top of a tree above the team, found things had taken a surprising turn of events regarding Team 7, and had seen the chances of the team failing increased with each passing attempt. Even more surprising was the one that enabled them to pass in the very end, and it was not the one Naruto had believed would do it. Still, it was amusing nonetheless, and I have seen enough for today, thought Naruto, as he leapt off the tree to the ground silently, and stealthily onto the ground. However, before Naruto could leave the area, Sasuke along with Sai were in front of him, while Sakura watched from a short distance. From the looks of things, Sasuke did not approve of someone watching him nearly fail his final test to becoming a shinobi, and wanted to make an example out of the Uzumaki. Sai was more cautious of Naruto, as he could easily tell from his time en route that the blonde was strong, and to strike out against him would be foolish. "You. Why were you watching us? Why were you watching me?" said Sasuke, as he saw the blonde look at him with an emotionless expression, and it was getting the Uchiha's nerves, since it reminded him of Itachi. "Why I was watching your team is irrelevant right now, Uchiha Sasuke. Just ignore me like you everyone else and you won't get hurt," said Naruto, as he turned to leave, and sensed Sasuke's anger rise in him at being thrown away like he was nothing. He wasn't a nothing. He was an Uchiha. "Don't you turn your back on me. Fire style, great fireball jutsu," said Sasuke, as he went through hand signs, and shot a large fireball at Naruto. The attack appeared to hit dead on, as it wrapped around the blonde, while preventing those witnessing this event from seeing if Naruto was now ashes ready to be scattered into the winds, and were surprised when a shadow appeared within the fire itself. As Naruto walked out of it, his eyes glowed with greenish energy swirling around his icy blue eyes, and made his appearance seem unearthly. "Actions like that will prove to be your undoing, Uchiha Sasuke," said Naruto, as he was instantly upon Sasuke, and delivering a series of blows to the Uchiha's ribs before hitting the boy with a spin kick that sent him flying into a tree. "Sasuke-kun," said Sakura, as she ran to Sasuke's side, while Sai looked at Naruto in silence, though it was more out of fear than respect, and decided to not provoke the figure before him. "Keep your teammate in check or his death will be on your shoulders. Your master will be displeased if you do," said Naruto before turning around and leaving, while not caring to see Sai's eyes widen in shock at knowing he was a loyal subordinate of Danzo. "Hokage's office 3 weeks later, you requested my presence?" said Naruto, as he appeared instantly in the Hokage's office, and saw the old man looking quite serious. Meaning Naruto was getting a mission of great importance. Not that Naruto hadn't done so, as he had stopped the traitor Mizuki from stealing the Forbidden Scroll, which was in reality a fake, after the blonde read the man's profile, and saw the signs of betrayal on the man. Not only that, but Naruto had intercepted an Iwa assassination suicide team attempting to infiltrate Konoha to take out a large portion of Konoha, and killed them all in a vicious manner while saving the last one from death for a short time to get information on the reason behind the attempt. Yes. At the insistence of the councils regarding Uchiha Sasuke, I sent Team 7 on a C-ranked mission to Wave Country to escort an old man visiting here from Konoha back to his home, and was under the impression they would possibly face bandits, said the old Hokage, as he handed Naruto a folder regarding the mission, and how things had changed much since the team's departure with the client. Things apparently changed and the rank of the mission went up, said Naruto, as he read the requirements for each ranked mission, and this mission was not what the client made it out to be. Yes. The client's name is Tazuna, a bridge builder in Wave Country, and is currently the biggest thorn in the side of a notorious businessman named Gato. He hired one Momochi Zabuza to take out Tazuna so he could continue to monopolize Wave Country for his own ends. As you'll see from the file I gave you, Zabuza is a missing nin from Mist, and does not work alone. The Demon Brothers already tried to take out Tazuna, but Kakashi stopped them before finding out the truth, and sent back a brief report of the event, said the Sandaime, as he saw Naruto looking over the file regarding Zabuza, and saw the picture of the swordsman with his followers. A member of the 7 swordsmen of the Mist and a skilled one at that. His followers have slimmed down though since his attempt at killing the Mizukage, and with the Demon Brothers now taken care of, that just leaves this one here next to him in this photo, said Naruto with his voice so whispery, as he put 2 of his fingers below the face of a child a few years older than him, and raised an eyebrow in wonder why this one didn't wield a sword like Zabuza. So will you take the mission? I need you to make sure that nothing happens to Team 7 from the shadows, as any team I send now to Wave Country could be damaging in the political arena for Konoha and the elemental countries, and the Leaf do not have the strength to hold off such problems, said the Sandaime, as he used Naruto only for the most delicate of situations, and this was one that would have the councils on his ass if anything happened to their pet Uchiha. Yes. My time in your library was most useful in understanding things about your world, and I have used it well to my advantage since then. Considered yourself covered on the political scale, said Naruto, as he closed the folder, and handed it back to the Hokage before leaving via teleportation. Wave Country 2 days later, Naruto was floating above the bridge builder's house where Team 7 was staying, as he was able to follow the mana trail the group left behind, and paused when he detected 2 others from the battle that happened shortly upon their arrival. The former soldier had studied the battlefield first before coming to Team 7's current safe haven to determine just what had transpired, and was pleased to sense that everyone in the group was alive. He was, however, disturbed to sense that so were the 2 unknown mana signatures, even after the one seemed to fade, and yet the body was taken away from the second person. Given what Naruto knew of the life of a missing nin, it was very cutthroat way of life, and if 2 missing nin got together, their loyalty did not go beyond life. No one would save a dead person unless the body still had some kind of value after death, or the person wasn't actually dead like it was supposed to be. In short, Zabuza was still alive, with a secondary individual no doubt protecting him until he recovered from whatever injuries he gained from the battle, and there was also the possibility that Team 7 did not get away without their own set of injuries. Which was why Naruto was currently hovering over Team 7's temporary residence. You don't know what it means to suffer. Came the shout of a boy, as he ran out of the house crying, and staring out into the large body of water before him. Shortly after the boy ran out, Kakashi followed with crutches to help him walk, and sat down next to the boy to tell him a bit about Sasuke losing his clan. It took a little work on the Jounin's part, but he was confident that it would help Inari realize that his life was not the pity party he made it out to be. When Inari left, Naruto floated down silently behind Kakashi, and hovered there to make sure that no one knew he was there. You helped him get over his problem quite well, said Naruto at last, which nearly made Kakashi jump 10 feet in the air before nearly fall into the water had the blonde not caught him, and held him upright by his shoulder. Naruto? Don't do that. What are you doing here in Wave anyway? Said Kakashi in a whispered tone, since the boy's existence was supposed to be a secret, and he didn't need his students asking him 20 questions again. Naruto explained how he was sent by the Sandaime to be his backup, but only if it was necessary, and to be wary of Zabuza's return at a later time with his student to back him up. Kakashi suspected that was the case given how the hunter nin had left to destroy the body rather than destroy it right there in front of them, and had his team do some chakra control exercises to help them later. I also advise you to be wary of Gato. While not physically empowered, he does have with him an army of thugs to make up for it, and is not to be ignored during the battle that is fast approaching, said Naruto, as he saw Kakashi nod at his advice, and began to walk back inside the house with his usual happy masked face on. The next morning in a nearby forest, Naruto found it strange that despite living in descent barrack dwellings of a soldier since his birth before later living in the descent-sized apartment, he would find the forest vegetation around him was quite nice, and surprisingly comforting. It seemed to bring peace to a slumbering animal in him other than the Kyuubi, who was also finding this place enjoyable, and they both wondered why they do this more. Naruto's musing along with slumber on the subject ended when a hand that was not his own touched his shoulder and stirred him awake to the land of the living. When his eyes opened, Naruto saw a girl a few years older than him with long flowing black hair with brown eyes, and was wearing a pink kimono dress. "Hello there. Are you alright? You shouldn't be sleeping out here at night when the temperature drops. You could catch a horrible cold," said the girl, as she smiled at him with a gentle smile, and looked into his eyes. It was then that the girl froze at what the eyes told her about him. Haku had trained with Zabuza since she was a child, as he had taken her away from the land of water, and the hell she had been in trying to survive the conditions there. Haku's biological family was no more after her father learned of the bloodline she carried within from her mother's side of the family, and killed the woman before going after Haku with the help from a mob. By accidentally using her bloodline in a moment of hysterical panic, Haku was able to save herself, and kill her father along with the mob before she met the man that taught her how to be his tool for battle. Now she was looking at someone who had seemed to be worse off than her, as he seemed to have no humanity within his very soul, and if it was there, it was buried deep within the darkness that held it. "A cold? I unable of catching this disease or any other if possible," said Naruto, as he rose from the ground in a fluid motion, and began his own examination of this girl before him. Naruto was not unaware of the beauty the female species possessed, as he had seen plenty of beautiful girls within Konoha's walls, and this one before him was no exception to the word. She was what Naruto would call angelic, as the girl had that look, and the blonde had no reason to suspect that Haku was secretly an enemy of Team 7. "Why are you out here? From the way you were sleeping, you must be a skilled warrior of some kind, and possibly a shinobi? Or maybe even a samurai apprentice?" said Haku, as she knew that someone with Naruto's cold eyes could be one of those things, and was possibly a threat to Zabuza. "I am neither those things. Merely a wanderer of the elemental countries, who has seen much, and yet still wishes to learn more," said Naruto, as he saw Haku accept his answer, and picked up her basket meant to gather the herbs she needed. "That is good. With all the things happening in here in Wave Country, I do not know if things could get any worse, and it threatens to destroy my most precious person," said Haku, as she began walking to a nearby plant that she needed, and put it in her basket. "Precious person? I do not know that term," said Naruto, as he frowned at the meaning, and wondered if the Kyuubi knew. The fox, however, decided to remain silent for the moment, and Naruto decided to hear Haku's response. "It is someone you care about deeply and would do just about anything to protect him or her from harm. You do not have a precious person, do you?" said Haku, as she looked at him with a sad look, and could now see somewhat on the reason why he had such cold eyes. "No. I do not have this person you speak of," said Naruto, as he had been following Haku through the forest area, and felt compelled to speak with her. "I am sorry to hear that. You see, I believe when we fight for someone precious to us, we become truly strong, and become unbeatable," said Haku, as she saw Naruto processing her words, and it still seemed difficult to understand. "That is an interesting concept to embrace. What is your name?" said Naruto, as he found the girl's concept of being strong intriguing, and wondered if Sephiroth might consider that concept. "My name is Haku. And yours, if I may ask?" said Haku, as she looked at Naruto, and he bent down to pick up an herb she had yet to take. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto," said Naruto, as he had no reason to hide his name since no one knew where he was residing, and the girl didn't know his current occupation in being Konoha's Black Angel of Death. "It was a pleasure speaking with you, Naruto-kun. Maybe one day, we can do it again," said Haku, as she smiled at him, and took the herb from his hand before leaving to return to Zabuza. "I take it you sensed it? The mana signature she had was identical to the one that was next to Zabuza's own when he battled Team 7 just a few days ago," said Kyuubi, as he finally spoke up, and Naruto nodded since he had done it before she picked up the first herb to use for the man. "Yes. She is the one that is with Momochi Zabuza. It's strange though. She has no desire to kill, yet she has been with him for some time, and was taught the arts needed to take a life," thought Naruto, as he saw Haku was masking her potential well, and suspected no one knew that she was helping Zabuza escape the Hunter Nins of Mist. "You are right. However, we cannot let our guard down with Haku, as I sense she is quite dangerous though she hides it well," and should not be underestimated, said Kyuubi in a calm voice, as he knew that Naruto was experiencing things that Sephiroth, or the others had yet to explain to him. However, Kyuubi felt this was something Naruto had to learn on his own, and help with his interactions with those in the world around him. Do you believe what she said is true? That we become truly strong when we fight for our precious person, as she called it? Said Naruto. He saw Kyuubi just give him a blank look, and it was clear the fox didn't know any more on the subject than him. I do not know. However, it is an interesting theory, and you may have to seek Haku out later to test that theory out, said Kyuubi, as he heard the stories in Midgar about parents doing incredible things to save their child's life, and afterwards couldn't duplicate the process unless a similar situation occurred yet again. I know, Kyuubi. It's strange though. I could an entire army in a blink of an eye without remorse, but when I think of Haku my hand stops, and it seems wrong to even remotely harm her, thought Naruto, as he did not understand this strange emotion, and wondered if Dr. Hojo had been mistaken in telling him that no one could stop his ability to take life. If that were the case, then why did Haku's presence make him stay his sword? That is something you must learn on your own, Naruto. You will meet Haku again on the battlefield, which is where you gain most of your answers anyway, and you will do so when you confront Haku, said Kyuubi, as he saw Naruto nod, and leave his mind to watch over Team 7. Incomplete bridge several days later, so here we are again, Kakashi. And you brought the brats with you to help save your ass too. Well, I thought you might, so I brought along my ace in the hole, and decided to have Haku remove them from the equation, said Zabuza, as he grinned behind his bandages, and saw Kakashi narrow his eye at him. Don't get too confident, Zabuza. You fell at my hand before and you'll do so again here, said Kakashi, as got ready to fight Zabuza with his Sharingan eye, and ignored the heavy mist that surrounded the area his opponent was creating. So you think, Kakashi? Ha! Haku, go take care of Kakashi's runts, said Zabuza, as he saw Haku nod, and his masked tool took her fight away from his own. With Naruto had watched from above, as two samurai thugs dragged the crying woman known as Tsunami away from her home, and her son Inari soon calling out to her with tears in his eyes. The young boy had changed since Kakashi's talk with him that night, as he had no fear it seemed to die for those he loved, and Naruto wondered if this was an example of Haku's words to him about being truly strong for one's precious person. The samurai looked at the boy for a second before smirking with bloodlust in their eyes, as they would get the chance to test out their swords on the boy, and still please their boss with the woman to do whatever it was Gato would do to her later on. She wasn't ugly, and perhaps Gato could turn the woman into a hooker to make the businessman money while there was still some youth left to drain from it. Prepare to meet that father of yours, kid. Tell him Gato's men sent you, said one of the thugs with an eye patch on one of his eyes, as he readied his sword while his partner held onto the woman so she wouldn't flee, and made her watch the child she brought into this world soon leave it. I'm not afraid of you, said Inari, as he had a butcher's knife in his hands, and held his ground even when his mother pleaded for him to run. The samurai thug just smirked before getting ready to teach the boy a lesson in manners with his sword when two things happened. First, was a flash of light with a voice from out of nowhere saying hold. Before his entire body had suddenly stopping despite his command for it to move, and heard his friend hold woman calling out to him. Then the second thing that happened was the samurai's partner crying out in pain, as his hand had been taken clean, and giving Tsunami a chance to escape. The woman didn't need to think twice about it. Such cowards you two are. You do not deserve to know the ways of sword, nor should you live a second longer to taint it with your own version. Die, said Naruto in a cold, ruthless, and whispery voice before a new flash appeared between the two killers. Instantly, Naruto appeared between the samurai with his Nadachi-class sword in hand, and seconds later the two servants of Gato had fallen quite literally to pieces. Turning to the two he had just saved, Naruto saw they were more surprised by his arrival than by his actions, and didn't seem to be afraid of him. A strange concept considering who he was and what he had just done. Thank you, said Tsunami, as she held onto her son, and hugged him to further prove to herself he was alive. You are welcome. Now that you two are safe, I must go to the bridge to help the elderly member of your family, said Naruto, as he sensed the battle waging on the bridge, and Haku's mana signature being among those there. You do not have to kill her if you do not want to, Naruto. Unlike before when you were with Soldier, you have a choice now in whose life you spare, and this girl seems like someone who deserves to be spared, said Kyuubi, as he knew his vessel's hesitation in fighting Haku, and that this would decide whether Naruto wanted to be more than what Dr. Hojo had planned for him. We will see, Kyuubi, thought Naruto, as he had a mission to do, and that held priority over his own feelings regarding the girl. Incomplete bridge at the moment, Kakashi was breathing heavily, as made a mental note to actually go have a sparring match with Guy when he got back to the leaf, and looked around in the mist for Zabuza. His Sharingan for the first time in Kakashi's recent memory had failed the Jounin, as he could not detect Zabuza due to the climate he was in, and was concerned about his students losing to Zabuza's apprentice. This mist is thicker than last time we fought. He's hiding in it and waiting for me to make a mistake so he can chop me in half with that sword of his, thought Kakashi, as he had to use his other senses to keep up with the demon of the mist, and to make sure his students were in one piece. Sai and Sasuke were currently battling Haku while Sakura stayed with Tazuna in order to make sure Zabuza tried to get near him. However, considering Sakura's lack of skills, the missing nin could easily go after her, and then take care of the client in a single moment. Afraid, Kakashi? You should be. Or rather, you should be afraid for those little students of yours. Haku is the ultimate tool when it comes to fighting, as her bloodline makes her practically unbeatable, and will destroy your brats before their blood runs cold, said Zabuza through the mist, as his laugh echoed through it, and made him impossible to detect in terms of hearing for Kakashi. Damn it. Come on, Kakashi, think. Think, you baka. Thought Kakashi, as he closed his eyes, and tried to find Zabuza through the mist by detecting his chakra signature. Then his eyes shot open and Kakashi looked towards the direction where Sakura was with Tazuna. Zabuza was going for the client. Time to get paid, said Zabuza, as he grinned viciously behind his bandages, and was behind Tazuna with his sword arched behind his back to cut the two in half in one fell swoop. Two sounds echoed throughout the area in that moment, with the latter sound drowning out the former. First, was Sakura screaming out at the sight of Zabuza behind her. Clang. Second, was the sound of metal from a sword meeting metal from another sword, and the silent gasp at the presence of the person stopping Zabuza from completing his mission. It was Naruto. The blonde boy had Muramasa pointed down diagonally, his body unmoving, and Zabuza looking at Naruto in pure disbelief that a mere boy younger than Haku was holding off his Zanbato. Naruto was looking back at Zabuza with his cold icy blue eyes, as he was not about to fail his mission at the hands of this missing nin, and needed to take away the swordsman's advantage of the terrain to do it. Dispel, said Naruto, as he used his magic to dispel the hidden mist jutsu, and causing the mist to leave instantly. What? What kind of jutsu was that? Who are you? Said Zabuza, as he was pushed back by Naruto, and instantly got ready to fight this new threat. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, but you may call me the Black Angel of Death before you die, and cross over to the underworld, said Naruto, as he moved forward, and met Zabuza's sword with his own. It was time to see who was the stronger. Meanwhile, Kakashi was breathing a sigh of relief, as he looked over at the sight of both Sakura with Tazuna getting clear of the sword fighting, and then looked to his right to see the ice mirror dome that surrounded his other two students. Part of him wanted to help Sasuke and Sai, but the problem was Haku knew how to defeat his Sharingan from what Zabuza had told him, and was more than match for both boys. Kakashi-sensei. Who is that kid over there? Said Sakura, as she had not seen Naruto since passing Kakashi's test, and had yet to get an answer from her sensei. Someone you don't want to have as your enemy, Sakura, said Kakashi, as he put down his headband over his Sharingan to conserve the last of his chakra, and saw Tazuna's face going pale at seeing something under his bridge. It's Gato's thugs. He's here with an entire army of them, said Tazuna, as he saw a large army of ruthless thugs, and the businessman himself climbing up the end of the bridge that was connected to the mainland of Wave. Kakashi's single eye widened with shock at the news, as he looked over the edge of the bridge to confirm Tazuna's words, and saw they were unhappily a fact. With the mist gone, Gato was most likely under the assumption the main part of the fighting was over, and his thugs were moving in to kill anyone left standing. Oh no! Thought Kakashi, as he didn't have the strength to fight off that many thugs, and neither did his students from fighting Haku for so long. The sound of sword-piercing flesh echoed into the Leaf Jounin's ears, as the man turned to the left to see Naruto had outmatched Zabuza, and knocked the missing nin's sword out of his hands. The sound that Kakashi heard, however, was Naruto's sword piercing the former mist shinobi right through the man's stomach, and then the blonde pulling his blade out to let the missing nin fall to his knees. You fought well, Momochi Zabuza. Considering your strength wasn't entirely full due to fighting Kakashi, you fought me with everything you had, and held out longer than I had anticipated. You are indeed worthy of your title as one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, said Naruto, as he saw Zabuza cough up blood into his bandages, and his sword now piercing the bridge while being his body's support. You're not too bad yourself, kid. I don't know who you taught you, but they knew damn well you were the perfect person to teach in taking up the sword, and to take the life of others, said Zabuza, as he felt one good sign of respect deserved another, and sensed Haku was finishing up defeating those 2 Leaf Shinon. You are concerned about Haku, said Naruto, as it was a statement not a fact, and the missing nin from Mist could see that the two had crossed paths before today. So you met her. And yet, you didn't end her life? Haku has that effect on people. Even now when fighting the other two Chunin from Konoha, Haku won't kill them, and will just knock them out with senbone needles hitting certain pressure points. She's too pure to kill anyone despite what I taught her since she was a child, said Zabuza, as he didn't know why he was telling Naruto this, and it felt like he was confessing to some kind of celestial creature that would decide whether to spare the girl's life. Haku will be devastated when she finds out that you are no longer among the living. She calls you her precious person and your death will no doubt break her spirit, said Naruto, as he saw Zabuza remove his bandages, and puke out some more blood. I trained Haku well to be my tool. Perhaps too well. Her potential far surpasses my own, which was one of the reasons I took the girl away from the mist, said Zabuza, as he recalled how Haku's eyes looked at him with admiration, how she gave it her all in every form of training he gave her, and was willing to fight by his side no matter what the odds were in front of them. Haku is also precious you too, isn't she? Said Naruto, as he could see the tears running down Zabuza's face, and the emotions for the girl the former Miss Nin had locked away were now reaching the surface. Yes. I've kept it locked away for so long because I thought of it as a weakness that could be used against me by my enemies. In a way, Haku was the daughter I always wanted, and I had to push her to be strong in order to secretly prove just how much I loved her like a parent with their child, said Zabuza, as he saw Naruto nod his head, and looked at the dome of ice mirrors not that far away. Now I will have to take that away from her. Not because I want to, but because it is my assigned mission to protect those around me I am ordered to protect, and kill all threats them. I do not do this out of some personal vendetta Momochi Zabuza, and I am not taking your life out of malice, said Naruto, as he began to raise his sword over his head, and was getting ready to end Zabuza's life. Then you are the one, who has to watch over Haku after I'm dead, and take care of her after this is over. Can you do that? Will you do that? Said Zabuza, as he saw Naruto pause in his sword strike, and was now thinking it over in his head. He's right. After you kill Zabuza, Haku will be devastated by this, and you will destroy her in a way no sword or spell could, said Kyubi, as he wanted Naruto to be aware of the ramifications this would bring upon his person, and this girl was too pure a spirit to kill in the boy's mind. Yes. I will take care of Haku and do what I must in order to give her the happiness she deserves in this world, said Naruto, as he began to bring his sword down, and in one slice of his sword, took Zabuza's head off. Zabuza-sama, yelled out Haku, as her ice mirrors had shattered, and her mask had done the same when she let it fall with tears now coming down her face. Naruto did nothing at this moment, but rather watched silently, as Haku fell to her knees holding the head of her most precious person in her lap in her hands crying. The person, who had saved her from hell had been lost now forever, and at the hands of the boy she had spared in the forest only a few days ago. Why? Said Haku, as she looked up at Naruto, and wondered if her own mercy had been Zabuza's undoing. Because it was my mission to protect Team 7 from the shadows so they could complete their mission. With his last wish, Zabuza wanted me to take care of you, and give you the happiness you deserve Haku, said Naruto, as he saw Haku cry further, and weeping an apology to the head of Zabuza like he could hear her. Well, isn't this a sad sight to see, said Gato, as his army of thugs had all gotten onto the bridge at this point, and were all ready to finish everyone else on the bridge off. We have uninvited guests, said Kyubi, as he saw Naruto nod, and turned slightly to the right to see the businessman smiling like he had won a victory today. So Zabuza bought the farm and now his little tool is all alone. No matter, I wasn't going to pay him since missing nin are such a pain in the ass to manage anyway, though I'm sure I can get the little slut could work for me in one of my brothels, and help make me some money. Maybe even the pink-haired girl after some proper tuning could be on too and have them both rake in some cash, said Gato, as he grinned at putting the girls to work, and maybe even have Zabuza's tool be of use to him in his bed after some proper training that he would place her in. We don't have the strength to fight them all, as Sakura is too frail still, and the others are out of it, thanks to Haku. The old man will be killed instantly, as will I most likely, and Haku doesn't seem to have the willpower right now considering she lost Zabuza, thought Kakashi, as he looked at everyone, and then saw Naruto turn fully around before walking towards Gato with his sword almost touching the ground. You've got some big balls, kid. You think you can take all of my guys here on? After what happened here, I'm willing to bet that you don't have the strength to lift that sword of yours, and even I could take you out before going after that bitch over there that broke my arm, said Gato, as he was looking forward to teaching Haku a lesson in manners, and breaking what was left her spirit. If you're betting your life along with the lives of your employees behind you, then you gotta have lost the bet, and must pay up to losing. With your life, said Naruto, as he had stopped some 20 feet in front of the large army the businessman had assembled, and now pointing his sword at them. What? Pay up? Ah. I don't pay up to snot-nosed kids like you. Kill him, said Gato, as he pointed at Naruto with his cane hand, and got his thugs all cheering before they froze instantly at the death-instilling aura the blonde was creating that seemed to choke the life out of everything around him. You are slime. Filth. You are unfit to live in this world, and I will see to it that you don't poison anything else it has to offer. Thundera, said Naruto, as he called out his spell, and the heavens above heard him with the dark storm clouds appearing in the sky before lightning struck the group before the blonde with the wrath of an angry god. The mob of thugs screamed out in pain, as their bodies were disintegrated into nothing, and only crater from the intense lightning blast was able to produce. With the fighting now officially over, Naruto put his sword away before turning to the stunned group of people behind him, but ignored most of them, and settled for the one that mattered most right now. Haku. He's really gone. Zabuza-sama is really gone, said Haku, as her voice was hollow now, and looked up at Naruto with eyes overflowing with tears. He fought like a true swordsman, Haku. You would be proud of him, as he was of you, and together we will give Zabuza the burial he deserves, said Naruto, as he stretched out his hand, and Haku looked at it before taking it to lift her off the ground. And what happens after that? Said Haku, as she had nowhere to go, and was afraid that Hunter Nin from Mist would seek her out for the bloodline she possessed. Zabuza wanted you to come with me, Haku. He entrusted me to give you a life where you could happy, and I know just the place where your bloodline won't be a negative issue, said Naruto, as he did something that shocked Haku, and made her blush a healthy shade of red. Naruto smiled. Well, it wasn't a full-fledged smile, more of smirk really, but by Naruto's standards it was a smile, and it was good enough for Haku. Then I will trust Zabuza-sama's judgment and go with you, my new master, said Haku, as she went over to Zabuza's body with Naruto, and used her powers to freeze the body once she put the head back in place. Unknown location in Wave. Sometime later, Naruto watched, as Haku placed the sword down into the earth to mark Zabuza's grave in Wave Country in a private secluded place near Tazana's home, and held onto the giant sword a second longer. There was sadness in the girl's eyes, as the full realization had set in for Haku, and said a silent goodbye to the man who raised her before standing face to face with Naruto. I am ready, Naruto-sama. I am your tool now for you to use in whatever way you see fit, said Haku, as bowed her head to him, and was surprised that he raised it with a gentle yet firm hand. You are not a tool, Haku-san. You are a person. And I will do what I must to make you see that, said Naruto, as he saw Haku's eyes brighten a bit, and then hugged him in a warm embrace while new tears flowed out of her. Only now they were tears of joy. Then I will do the same for you, Naruto-sama. I will help you become more of a person too, said Haku, as she saw the soul that was locked away by some unknown force, and vowed to help Naruto like he was doing for her. Then let's go home, said Naruto, as he held her in the embrace, and the two began to fly into the air before they disappeared like they had never there. Things kept getting interesting for Uzumaki Naruto. Chapter 3: An interesting twist. Sarutobi's eyebrow twitched at the report Naruto gave to him for Wave Country and the sight of this girl before him that was the now late Momochi Zabuza's own apprentice. It was times like this, the old Cage was glad some of his old instincts hadn't failed him just yet, and knew that without Naruto to back up Team 7 there would be no team reporting back by next week. I'm afraid without something to show in terms of proof that Zabuza is dead, I cannot give you the money from the bounty that was on him, and can only pay you for the actual mission, Naruto, said the Sandaime, as he saw Haku flinch for a microsecond, and he knew that Naruto saw it too. Money is not an issue for me, Hokage-sama, as you well know my past services to the Leaf in previous missions have given me quite the small fortune, and I see no reason to get into a territorial pissing contest over money in a private matter, said Naruto, as he saw Haku look at him with a small smile, and knew that this was indeed private if not personal for her. Very well. Money will be transferred into your normal account for the secret protection detail you gave Team 7, and I am willing to let Haku become a shinobi of the Leaf. From what you mentioned in your report, Haku has a bloodline limit that can rival the second Hokage's, and has a form of knowledge in the ways of medicine, said the Sandaime, as he saw Haku nod, and knew that it must be hard for the girl to admit she had a bloodline after what happened in Mist. That is correct, Hokage-sama. There were times when Zabuza would get injured in battle and needed my help to heal his wounds. If it is all right with you, I would like to work at the hospital for the moment since I have been running for what seems like forever, and with your permission, live with Naruto-sama, said Haku, as she looked over at Naruto, who had a raised eyebrow at her request, and then back at the Hokage seeing the old man thinking it over. Naruto's apartment is meant mostly for one person with one bed. If you stayed with him, it might get cramped, and you would have to share a bed until I could arrange for the two of you a larger home, said the Hokage, as he saw Haku's face have a nice shade of color to it, and Naruto's face remain the same with unreadable eyes. If sleeping arrangements are a problem, Hokage-sama, I will let Haku sleep on the bed, and I won't sleep at all until the new accommodations are set up, said Naruto, as he saw the Hokage look at him like he was crazy, and Haku's blush increased further at the fact that Naruto was willing to go so far to make sure she became comfortable in her new surroundings. Okay. If that is all, then this mission debriefing is over, and I'll let you take Haku to her new home to get settled in, said the Hokage, as he saw Naruto nod, and walked out of the room with Haku at his side. With that done, the old Kage let out a sigh, as he took a long drag from his smoke pipe, and hoped things would get a little easier on him. Jiraiya had stopped by every so often to give him information from his spy network and his latest Icha Paradise book, with the latter always a good read to take the pressure off his old heart. However, the former piece of information Jiraiya brought the Sandaime worried him, as tension was growing between Suna and the Leaf, with Suna feeling the most of it in a negative manner. There was also the matter of his old student Orochimaru popping up in Rice Country and the new Sound Village that suspiciously appeared soon after. For the moment, all the Sandaime could do was keep the Leaf alive until someone else could take over this position and protect the village from her enemies. 4 days later, Naruto had once more been summoned to the Hokage's office, as something important had apparently come up, and required the Black Angel's assistance in this matter. When Naruto got there, he was surprised, didn't show it, to see an Anbu squad in full battle gear ready to be deployed, and the boy first suspected that he was about to be betrayed. If it wasn't for the simple fact that none of the masked shinobi were giving off any sign of attacking him, that is. This is unusual even for you, Hokage-sama. I thought we agreed to keep my presence in the Leaf as much of a secret as possible? Said Naruto, as he saw the Anbu looking at him, and then at the Sandaime. Normally I would, Naruto. However, something has come up, which requires my most elite of Anbu, and you to go on a joint mission to rescue some of the Junin teams along with their Jounin senseis from the Leaf's enemies, said the Sandaime, as he saw bluish-green eyes narrow slightly, and the old man felt like his mind was secretly being invaded by the young blonde. Explain, said Naruto coldly, as he sensed the Anbu looking at him in shock at talking like that to the Hokage, but the Sandaime didn't seem to mind since the boy was being asked to undertake a mission normally given to someone nearly twice his age. Junin teams 8, 9, and 10 were on a joint mission near the Fire and Lightning Country borders when they were ambushed by a large attack squad of Kumo's own Anbu. Guy's team got away long enough to send a messenger hawk out to send reinforcements before they were captured too. From what I read, it seems the Kumo Anbu were looking for something, or possibly someone who tried to leave Kumo. We have a small window of opportunity to get the teams back before they are taken to Kumo for interrogation, and considering that 2 of our Leaf shinobi there are from the Hyuga clan, this matter is highly sensitive, said the Sandaime, as he saw the boy nod his head, and the child's mind was moving faster than Guy without his weights. We must leave immediately then if we are to be successful in saving them. I will stick to shadows as usual, but I will intervene should things get too much for your Anbu squad to handle, and retrieve any Leaf Shinin taken over the lightning border, said Naruto, as he was gone instantly from his spot, and the Anbu looked startled before heading off to do the same. Fire and Lightning Country border 2 days later, where the hell is that bitch? Said the Kumo Anbu, as he had been complaining for the 16th time today about not finding the damn woman the Raikage had sent his Anbu to find, and the trail they were walking was beginning to get cold. Still, they had a few nice replacement prizes for the Raikage out of the temporary lost of Yugito, who would no doubt be quite pleased with this development of having not 1, but 2 Hyuga in his grasp. Granted, one of them was a branch member, but that didn't mean there were other means of him giving Kumo the Byakugan, and as for the Hyuga girl? She would be useful in terms of giving birth to countless children once safely tucked away in the village. Keep searching, Baka. How did Yugito get out of her room anyway? Said another Kumo Anbu, as he moved a tree branch out of the way, and nearly got attacked by bees from a nearby beehive. From what I heard, Yugito tricked the guard outside of her room by telling him she was in heat, and needed to be sexually satisfied. It didn't hurt her in the fact the guard just got divorced 2 months ago and hasn't gotten any long before that, said the first Anbu, as he couldn't believe the guard thought with his groin, and not his head, least not the correct one anyway, when it came to that girl. Just keep searching. The damn demon vessel needs a better restriction seal on her body, and the Raikage needs to keep his damn pet in line, said the second Kumo Anbu, as he wondered why the Raikage didn't just turn the damn girl into a concubine, and give him countless children of his own. The man's thoughts were ended when a Nadachi-style blade went through the back of his skull and silently having one less Kumo shinobi in the world because of it. The attacker, a one Uzumaki Naruto, looked down at his work of death with cold bluish-green eyes before moving silently to the other Kumo Anbu, and pierced him through the heart from the back. "Before you die, tell me where the leaf shinobi are you captured?" said Naruto in a cold whispery voice, as he saw the man's finger pointing into the direction of their temporary base, and then death took him seconds later. "There is something more here. I sense another like us, but different, and scared all the same. After we rescue the leaf shinobi, it would be wise to find this person that the Kumo shinobi are looking for, and get some answers from her," said Kyubi, as he had sensed something akin to his own power, and wanted answers just like Naruto. "Then we must move quickly to save the leaf shinobi before commencing with our own search for this Yugito woman these two mentioned," thought Naruto, as he made his way through the trees, and followed the large amount of mana that made up the others. With Leaf Shinon teams 8, 9, and 10, each of the Shinon along with their sensais had been tied up and unable to move from the trees. Each group was tied behind. Out of everyone in the group, Hyuga Hinata was the most terrified, as it brought back the horrible memory of when she was kidnapped by the ambassador from Kumo, and her father killed the man with one blow. The end result of that incident caused Hinata to lose her dear uncle Hisashi and bring about the growing strain on the family, with her own cousin Neji hating her for the event. As for Neji, he was showing a great deal of anger from the past memory, and wanted to show these shinobi from Kumo what a Hyuga branch family member could do. "We have to do something. If they take us back to Kumo, they will interrogate us without mercy, and you know what they will do to Hinata," said Kurenai, as she saw her student trying to be strong, but was hard for the girl due to her shy gentle nature, and knew that it would only get worse once they were over the border into Lightning Country. "What can we do? The only way for us to do anything is if we manage to overpower them when their guard is down. That's not possible with all of them being Anbu. We need to wait until the Sandaime can send reinforcements," said Asuma, as he saw the large group of Kumo Anbu were all around the area, and any one of them would notice if they tried to escape. Even if they did, their students would pay the price for it, and none of the Jounin wanted that to happen. Not far from the encampment, an explosion was heard, and cries of pain echoed from deep within the trees that got everyone's attention. Almost instantly, the Kumo Anbu sprang into action, as half of them went to fight the unknown enemy, and the other half formed a defensive perimeter around the area. It couldn't be the rescue team. Even the Anbu that the Sandaime would send couldn't get here this fast. In a few more hours maybe, but not now, and it was not the person they were looking for originally when they attacked, thought Guy, as he knew that where they were, and the distance from Konoha would require a much more time. The sounds of flesh being sliced to pieces and more explosions were heard soon after, with the Kumo shinobi that stayed behind looking increasingly worried. They were so concerned with the approaching enemy in front of them that the Leaf Anbu that had snuck in from behind were able to free the Jinan from their binds before going to the Jounin sensais. "What's going on? I thought that was you fighting the Kumo Anbu," said Asuma, as he frowned at Yugao's Anbu unit, and the woman just shuddered since she knew what was causing the fight not far from them. "No. The Sandaime decided to send someone with more experience to deal with them," said Yugao, as she freed Kurenai's arms, and then moved to Guy's next. "Who would the Hokage send to do such an unyouthful act such as this?" said Guy, as he heard one more explosion that was very close to them, and made the Kumo Anbu get ready. "I don't know. He apparently works with the Hokage from the shadows, but the thing is the person doing all of that is a 12-year-old boy," said Yugao, as she saw the shocked looks on everyone's faces, and before any questions could be asked, a kunai hit the tree near the purple-haired woman's masked face. "Stop them before they said the Kumo Anbu, who threw the kunai, and was then silenced by a sword slicing through him from behind with the force of the throw sending it into a tree. "What the hell was that?" said the Kumo Anbu captain, as he along with the rest of the Kumo shinobi in the area, and the leaf shinobi looked at the figure walking casually into it from that shadows of the forest covered in the blood of his enemies. "The Black Angel of Death," said Naruto in a cold whisper, as he walked slowly towards the Kumo Anbu, and saw how they backed up in fear of him. How could one person take out so many Anbu-level shinobi in such a short amount of time? You would have to be cage level to do it, thought Shikamaru, as he saw the boy stop walking in the middle of the clearing, and turn his eyes towards them. "Is everyone present and accounted for?" said Naruto, as he saw the nervous looks on the genins of the group, and uneasiness from the adults. "Why yes, Naruto-sama," said Yugao, as she had no idea how bloody the battle getting to this spot was for Naruto until she saw him drenched in the crimson liquid of his enemies, and the Nadachi itself, still pierced through the tree, was dripping from so much of it. "Good. Now stay where you are with the Jinan teams and don't move. Things are about to get very interesting, said Naruto, as he let his mana spike around him, and felt the ground beneath him shake under the immense pressure of his power. My bugs are frightened. They will not even move within my body, as if they would just surrender to this boy, and let him do whatever it was he planned on doing. What is he? Thought Shino, as he had felt his bugs stop moving within his body the instant the fighting started in the woods, and knew that this boy was someone who was better off passing you by rather than provoking into a fight. This guy's chakra is unreal. I'm not even using my Byakugan and it's almost painful to stare at him, thought Neji, as he had to willingly keep himself from using his bloodline limit, and could tell Hinata was doing the same. Are you sure you want to summon one of them? This will be painful in the end, said Kyubi, as he sensed what Naruto was going to do, and while it was overkill, the mana output alone would make any shinobi entering from Lightning Country be wary of such a powerful afterglow of energy, and would think twice before crossing over to Fire Country for whatever reason it may be. We need to take out these Kumo shinobi and then look afterwards for the Yugito woman they were so interested in. You said it yourself, there is something here that is familiar and I believe this woman is the key, thought Naruto, as he opened his eyes, and looked up at the sky that now had darkening storm clouds brewing with rumbles of thunder in them. Very well. It's ironic you would choose him out of all of them, said Kyubi, as he uses his power to help Naruto summon the being that would help in this matter, and soon in the outside world lightning shot out from the sky before one large lightning bolt struck the ground in front of the blonde. Who dares to summon me, the almighty Ramu, the ageless mage of lightning, bellowed the elderly man wearing sage-like robes known now to everyone as Ramu, as he gazed at the petrified onlookers, and then at Naruto with his gnarled wooden staff to demand an explanation. I summoned you Ramu in the task of killing these foes before me, said Naruto, as he pointed to the group of Kumo Anbu, and the elderly mage turned to face them. Very well my summoner. I shall make your foes fall before me in your name as wheat falls at the hands of a scythe. Judgment bolt, said Ramu, as he arched his trust staff oldhim at his enemies, and lightning shot forth from it that pierced through the bodies of every Kumo shinobi in the area before they exploded violently into skeletal remains mixed with ash, with the forest area behind them being wiped out too. With his task done, Ramu bowed his head politely to Naruto before fading away, and the blonde found himself on his knees breathing heavily. As expected, with connection to the materias not what it once was for Naruto, the strain of summoning was taxing on him, and was not healthy even with the fox being able to help make it possible. We must find a way to regain our connections to the materias properly or the next time that happens may undo us, thought Naruto, as he slowly got off the ground, and quickly summoned his sword to his hands to use as a crutch for a moment. Are you alright Naruto-sama, said Yugao, as she saw the blonde boy rise slowly from the ground, and the fatigue was leaving his body. Yes. I just need a moment to recover all my lost strength from that summoning, said Naruto, as he removed his hood of his cloak, and let the rays of sunlight shine on him with the storm clouds above parting to a clear sky. Oh Kami, this guy is hot, thought Ino, as she blushed at the sight of him, and Hinata was about 2 seconds away from fainting with a cherry red face. Whoa. This kid's going to break countless hearts and drive women into madness in a few years, thought Kurenai, as she felt her face surprisingly heating up at the image appeared in her mind, and she saw Tenten trying to shake such feminine ways out of her head too. Think non-sexy thoughts. Think non-sexy thoughts. You are a leaf shinobi Tenten, not a fangirl, and you don't want to ask him if you can touch his long sword. Not that sword. Thought Tenten, as she then blushed at the innuendo at the end of that sentence, and she tried, and failed, to keep such things out of her head. We'll take the Jinan teams back to the Leaf Village to give the Hokage a full report on the success of the mission, said Yugao, as she was secretly blushing too, and saw the blonde nod his head silently while his eyes were closed in deep thought. Yes. Though have him explain why they need to keep quiet about my existence for the moment. I will return shortly, as I sense something here that I must investigate, and deal with myself alone, said Naruto, as he put his hood over his head, and turned to walk towards a different area of the forest that was not destroyed. Do you need one of us to assist you? Said Yugao, as she saw him stop, and then turned to look at her with those still cold eyes. No. This requires my presence and my presence alone, said Naruto, as he walked into the shadows of the forest, and faded into it like he was one with the area. That guy was weird, said Choji, who got a fist to his head for that by an angry Ino, and Shikamaru muttered what sounded like troublesome though one glare from his female teammate shut him up. Weird or not, we better get out of here before more of Kumo shinobi show up, said Kiba, as she saw Hinata nod though he sensed there was some kind of strength running through the girl now, and it was like she had found something to help deal with the situation. With the Leaf Shinobi heading back to Konoha, Naruto walked through the woods the mana signature that was trying very hard to not be detected, and found himself outside of a cave. Sensing that the mana unique signature was inside, Naruto put away his sword since it would only provoke the person into treating him as hostile, and took several more steps forward before he was met with a wall of bluish-black fire. "You are foolish to seek me out," said a female voice, as she was behind the wall of fire that the Nibi provided, and stared at the boy in front of her. "Only if I was your enemy. Those that were pursuing you are now all dead. I know that you can sense this and that I am not your enemy. Do not start something that does not need to happen, Yugito-san," said Naruto, as he saw Yugito look at him cautiously before slowly calling back the dark bluish fire she summoned, and walked further out of the cave somewhat cautiously. "How do you know my name? Are you from that Akatsuki organization?" said Yugito, as she saw the boy was wearing some kind of cloak, but not the one with red clouds, and he wasn't wearing a straw hat. "I do not know of such an organization. As to knowing your name, I overheard some of the Anbu from Kumo mention it before I ended their lives, and was able to save some Leaf Shinobi from being your replacement to the Raikage," said Naruto, as she flinched at that, and guilt was in her eyes that she had unintentionally caused someone else trouble for her problem. "Do you work for the Leaf Village?" said Yugito, as she didn't see a leaf headband on his person, and he was not dressed like a shinobi in the slightest. "For the moment I am working with the Leaf Village. I assist the Sandaime Hokage from the shadows on the most delicate of missions. Only a handful of shinobi outside of the Hokage know of my existence, and the man trusts me without question when it comes to my actions regarding missions. From what I devised of your predicament, Yugito-san, the leader of Kumo does not hold your talents as a shinobi in high regard, and treats you less than a person," said Naruto, as he saw Yugito's cat-like eyes narrow at his, and caught the faint hissing sound she was making. "The Raikage is an asshole. He treats me like his little pet that he can send out on lethal missions and doesn't care if I die in them since I have the Nibi sealed inside of me. He puts some kind of restriction seal on me that strains my body every time I use Nibi's power the farther away I am from Kumo. The only way it will come off is if he does it himself, and only if I were the key part in invading another village," said Yugito, as she so wanted to kill the Raikage, but he was too strong, and would have destroyed her for such an act of treason. "The Nibi? Explain please," said Naruto, as he was curious about this, and so was Kyubi since the name of the demon had flashed a memory in the fox. Yugito looked at Naruto like he was slightly crazy before explaining that throughout the years since the shinobi village were founded, demons had been sealed away into infants, and then used as weapons to wage war against their enemies. She further explained that the most powerful of demon lords were sealed away into every major shinobi village with the exception of the Leaf. How she had the two-tailed Nibi, Suna had the one-tailed Shukaku, the Raikage's own brother Killer Bee had the eight-tailed bull, and the other remaining demon vessels were in other shinobi villages too. Naruto for his part kept his secret about the Kyubi being sealed inside of his body and had made a mental note double-check Konoha history concerning the time of his birth. If he was a part of this world before Zeon took him as an infant, then so was Kyubi, and Naruto was indeed from the Leaf Village. You will find the Sandaime of the Leaf is not cruel like the Raikage. In fact, if I were to ask, the elderly Kage could let you stay in Konoha in secret, and place you under my own protection," said Naruto, as he saw the girl look at him again like he was crazy, and then laugh like it was joke. "Keep me safe? From the Raikage? You know this could start another shinobi war if that man finds out and uses his little brother to teach the Leaf a lesson. Not to mention that the other enemies of the Leaf will rise to fight too at the same time, and from the rumors I've heard then Suna may forget about honoring their alliance with Konoha," said Yugito, as she looked away with worry now at what her actions would bring her if she was caught by them. And then there was the Akatsuki organization itself that she heard about that was looking for those like her. "The Raikage will do no such thing because I will not allow it. Do you really wish to take your chances outside of what I have to offer you? From what you've told me, the Raikage will send out every shinobi trained for such an event to hunt you down. And then there is the organization you mentioned earlier. You have no contacts, no friends, and no one to trust outside of me right now in granting you a home to stay in. You can turn down my offer down, I won't force you come with me, but if you do turn it down, I won't be held accountable if you are captured by either foe, and I will not grant you another chance for sanctuary without the permission of the Hokage," said Naruto, as he sees Yugito looking at him with surprise, and let the cold hard truth hit her a sword wound to the gut. He has a point, kitten. While leaving Kumo was a good idea at the time, it was done with little to no planning, and we have no one to trust outside of the village. If we go somewhere, people might learn of what you are, and then you will shun before being hunted down like an animal," said the Nibi, as she felt something about the boy familiar, but didn't know what, and wished she knew why Kyubi filled her mind. I go with you and the Hokage keeps me safe. That's your offer in a nutshell, right? Said Yugito, as she saw the blonde nod, and walked toward her. Yes, said Naruto, as he saw the girl look away in thought for a second, and then looked back at him before sighing in what almost sounded like defeat. Then I accept your offer, Naruto-san, said Yugito, as she sensed no lie in Naruto, and trusted Nibi when the demon told her to go with him. Then follow me if you please, Yugito-san, said Naruto, as he began walking towards the leaf with it, the trip while walking being a few days, and saw Yugito walking up to him in order to walk beside his form. You don't want to stop by a lake to wipe all the blood off of your clothes? Said Yugito, as she saw him look at her with a raised eyebrow before shrugging, and action like it was nothing. The blood you see on my cloak is stained with doesn't bother me in the slightest. This is not the first time I have had to kill so many people and it won't be the last, said Naruto, as his voice was icy, and spoke of past memories where groups larger than the one today had fallen at his hands. That's comforting, thought Yugito, as she wondered what had turned this boy into such a cold thing, and wondered what Naruto had done growing up to be so used to spilling blood so easily as breathing. However, I'm sure the smell of it does not bode well for your senses, as they have been enhanced by Nibi, and if a body of water does show up, I will clean my robes of it, said Naruto, as he knew that the smell of blood, whether fresh or dried, would smell horrible to Yugito, causing a strain on the very little thread of trust. Thank you, said Yugito, as she walked beside him, and found herself staring at Naruto every so often. Someone has a crush on Naruto-kun, said Nibi, as she felt her container's face heat up slightly, and deny it mentally. Shut up. I'm just curious about him, thought Yugito, as she tried to tell herself it was strictly curiosity that made her look at him, and told herself she didn't like this boy who she mentally added was younger than her. You do know your choice of words is ironic, right? And so what if the boy is younger than you by a few years? You have a chance to get on the ground floor with this kid, who in a few years will drive every woman around him into heat, and want to bed or mate with him. Just think about it for a little while. Don't be afraid to try just because I'm inside of you, my kitten, said Nibi, as she didn't want her vessel to be alone because of the Bakas and Kumo sealing her up inside Yugito, and make the poor girl into a tool for the Raikage to use, and throw away, when he pleased. The only reason Killer Bee wasn't treated like Yugito was because he was the Raikage's little brother. So, what is the leaf like? Said Yugito, as she wanted to start up a conversation with him, and get to know what her new home would be like for her. Busy for the most part. People do different things every day. I have noticed that the men are very perverted if my choice of words is correct, in some red and orange book that makes the women around them very angry. I do not care to understand, but merely avoid it, and so far I have not been targeted by such anger, said Naruto, as he never understood the thing between women, and the negativity that perverseness of the male gender had when they were around them. Such strange mating rituals humans have, said QB, as he never understood the process of humans attracting other humans for mating, and wondered if he did in his past life before being sealed away in Naruto. Hokage Tower. 3 days later, Naruto walked into the old man's office and gave a full report while Yugito waited with a slightly nervous look on her face while trying to maintain a sense of calmness. She knew full well that the incident between Kumo and the Leaf was a touchy subject for both sides, with the Hyuga clan and Konoha getting the sour end of the deal. When Naruto finished, the Hokage looked at Yugito for a moment before pulling out the necessary papers for the girl to sign to make her a secret citizen of the Leaf. You will understand, Yugito-san, that aside from me, no one else in the village will know of your status as the holder of the Nibi, and Naruto will not betray your trust regarding that fact. At the moment, Naruto is currently sharing an apartment with one Momochi Haku, and they have recently been seeking a much larger home. Since you will be staying with them for the moment, I am going to set up a larger home that has been vacant for a few years, and if Naruto is willing to pay for it with the money from this mission, can have all three of you living there right away, said the Sandaime, as he saw Naruto nod, since the money from this mission was more than enough to pay for any home that could support 3 people. He's living with another girl? Thought Yugito, as she felt some form of anger at that, and Nibi was trying to calm her down. Easy, kitten. This Haku girl is just one person. Find out what she's like, then find out if she likes him, and if she does, then you can mark your territory, said Nibi, as she saw Yugito blush before sputtering mentally at the idea of claiming the boy as hers to keep the other girl at bay, and told the Nibi to stay out of it. Seeing him shirtless had been a sight to see in itself. Flashback: few days ago, Naruto and Yugito were walking when the younger blonde stopped to look to his right, with his eyes catching sight of a small waterfall with lake that he could use to remove the blood from his upper clothing. Yugito saw this before following him to dip her tired feet in and enjoy the tranquility the place had to offer, while Nibi kept an eye out for anyone. I've been walking for so long, I'd forgotten what relaxing felt like, thought Yugito, as she let out a sigh of pleasure, looked over lazily to the right, and saw a shirtless Naruto now washing his cloak along with his shirt while being drenched in water from the process. If you want to relax Yugito-chan, all you have to do is strip naked, and jump that boy over there to give you countless kittens, said Nibi, as she giggled perversely, and her vessel sputtered out various curses while trying to keep her nose from bleeding. End flashback. Even now, Nibi was on occasion sending her erotic images, and it was getting very difficult in holding back the nosebleeds that would make Naruto think she was some kind of pervert. I will go inform Haku. Come Yugito-san, I think you should meet, and greet your fellow housemate, said Naruto, as he walked out of the room with Yugito right behind him, and made their way to his apartment. Naruto-sama, said Haku, as she hugged the boy with a near bone-crushing hug, and felt him return it slightly with the one hand that wasn't pinned down. You didn't think I would abandon you, did you Haku? Said Naruto, as he had let Haku have the bed while he stayed up the entire night for the past couple of nights, and had found the poor girl had night terrors from the time she spent in mist before Zabuza came into her life. No. But sometime the night terrors came back while you were gone, and when I woke up to find you gone, a part of me feared the worst, said Haku, as she breathed in Naruto's scent, and knew this boy was her Naruto-sama. You know there are times that my missions takes days if not more to complete. I also know the night terrors you face are powerful, but know that I will not leave you in this world alone, said Naruto, as he felt her hugging him further, and had to ignore the very strange feeling of her well-developed chest pressing against his own. That and Yugito's aura of anger currently aimed at Haku. I know Naruto-sama. Staying with you in the leaf is still something I'll have to get used to, said Haku, as she released him from the hug, and then noticed the older blonde-haired girl behind him. The temperature soon got very cold. Haku, I want you to meet me Yugito, formerly of the shinobi village of Kumo, and your fellow housemate until further notice. The Hokage has gotten us a much larger home for all three of us to live in, as Yugito being in the leaf is a very sensitive matter not unlike your own, but for different reasons, and hers to tell if she wishes, said Naruto, as he saw the silent stare the two were giving each other, and walked into his home to prepare for the move to the new house. 2 weeks later, the Chunin exams? Said Naruto, as he read the information the Hokage had given him, and what the exams were for. Yes. This year we have quite the number of applicants attending the exams, and I need you to look at our security to make sure that any threats to the village stay outside of it during the next few months, said the Sandaime, as he was growing concerned with the threats to the village, and knew that such an event would be a way to attack the leaf. In secret, I would assume this time, Hokage-sama? There are now more than a handful of people who now know of my existence. It is only a matter of time before the shinobi of the leaf learn of my existence here and may trace to the others, said Naruto, as he had narrowed his eyes at the slightly guilty ones the old man had, and for good reason, since the blonde had learned a vital part of his past connecting him to the leaf. During the 2 weeks Naruto was back, things had been hectic with the two women living with him, and had sensed a form of territorial dispute going on that was connected to him. So in order to defuse it, Naruto took himself out of the equation, and spent his time in the Hokage's library again looking over Konoha's history. It was when Naruto reached his birthday did the blonde notice how so many had died that day, including the village's own Yondaime, and it was then his finger stopped on the events that caused it. The attack by the Kyuubi. It had confirmed what Naruto already suspected even before meeting Yugito, as he had stayed in seclusion during the Kyuubi festival where the people celebrated the fall of the Demon Lord, and had no idea that the fox existed within the blonde death dealer. It was probably for the best, at least for the moment anyway in Naruto's mind, and he knew that the fox being alive while sealed away would not be something in his best interest of his health. It is fortunate you made preparations should your secret be discovered and hunted down for it by the more arrogant fear-driven humans of the leaf, said Kyuubi, as he had already set up several plans to help Naruto escape, and take the other two with him should the events call for it. Hopefully, such a plan would never be needed, and was just a backup plan that wouldn't be used by the blonde. I'm sorry about that, Naruto. I spoke with the group when they came back and told them that you were a shinobi from a family that had many enemies who would attack if they learned of your existence. They understand not to speak of you, as there are penalties for revealing such high-class secrets, and I can assure you, Naruto, that they will not reveal such delicate information, said Sarutobi, as he knew had things been different here the leaf, the boy would have been in hell, and the old Kage himself would have been able to do little to stop it. I would be more concerned with the Uchiha since he doesn't care about revealing secrets in exchange for power since the councils let him get away with so much as it is. Make sure Hatake Kakashi keeps the boy in check and his mouth shut or I will do it for him, said Naruto, as he was not about to let the Uchiha blab anything about him, and had no problem removing Sasuke's tongue do it. Yes. There is also the matter of the boy named Sai. I suspect he is an agent of an old rival of mine named Danzo and reports to him regarding the Uchiha's progress. Though considering your power, I suspect Sai will keep it a secret a little longer out of his own fear of you, and not tell Danzo of your power, said the Sandaime, as he knew that when Naruto unleashed his fury on someone it wasn't pretty, and the brutality from what he had heard from the Anbu retrieval team was not something to be taken lightly. If it comes down to it, I will remove Danzo from the game of politics, and see to it that all those loyal to him fall by my blade. You may not like it in your old age, Hokage-sama, but this Danzo will try to dethrone you, and take the seat of power for himself to start his own ideals for the leaf, said Naruto, as he took the folder into his cloak, and left to do his assigned task for the Sandaime. The last part sounds just like Jiraiya all those years ago when I had ordered Root to be disbanded, thought the Sandaime, as he sent out a letter to Jiraiya to come back to the leaf immediately for some important news, and not detour for any research that the Sannin felt compelled to do. With Haku and Yugito, it had been very strange, for the girls, to live in the same house with the man they both cared about in their own manner, as they each believed the other was not friendly, and at the same time not an enemy either. They would have been each other's throats had it not been ironically for Naruto, who was also the reason for the silent hostility, and decided that they should get along for him since he did save them. So here they were, drinking, not laced with poisons this time, tea, smiling at each other, and mentally thinking up ways to make the other suffer if Naruto was hurt because of the girl in front of them. They had talked or at least tried to with the other always speaking at the same time and making things a bit awkward for the two. How are things at the hospital? Said Yugito, as she had been told of Haku's profession at the hospital, and was quite the skilled medic there. Good. I do what I can to save lives and use my skills to support Naruto-sama in his time of need should he ever require them, said Haku, as she marked off a point for herself at that, and knew that Yugito knew it too. I see. I'm sure when it comes to fighting by his side, Naruto-sama will need someone who has certain powers that are closer to his level, and can protect him from needing medical skills, said Yugito, as she saw Haku's lip twitched in the direction of a frown, but stopped herself, and the Nibi vessel knew that point went to her. It's possible. After all, Naruto-sama is strong and the missions he does is slowly giving him a vast amount of wealth with my own profession assisting in the growing funds to support all of us, said Haku, as she marked that victory on her side of the board, and she thought she heard a small cat-like moan of displeasure from Yugito. I'm sure. I was quite surprised at how polite Naruto-sama was in making the trip to the leaf as comfortable as possible and even washed his upper clothing to remove the stench of blood off of it. I must say, the young man has quite the muscled figure, and it looks very nice when covered in water, said Yugito, as she let the memory into her mind with the victory on that move going to her, and she smiled further in the fact that she highly doubted that the girl sitting across drinking tea here saw him in such a manner. Yes, he does have quite the figure. It's even more enjoyable when you sleep next to it with little to no clothing on, said Haku, as she saw Yugito blush at the innuendo, and gave herself double points on that victory. Is this bitch implying what I think she's implying? Thought Yugito, as she was getting very territorial right now, and felt the desire to go crazy psycho bitch on this girl. Hard to say. She masks her emotions well just like Naruto does, said Nibi, as she felt her kitten's anger, and wanted to tear the girl to pieces if it weren't for the fact that Naruto would be displeased. Really? From what I understand, Naruto didn't sleep very often when you arrived, and it makes one think if it was because he was being polite or if there was a certain smell that drove him away? Said Yugito, as she saw Haku frown noticeably, and the Nibi vessel gave herself double points for that one. At least my smell doesn't have the stench of rotten fish and a cat in heat, said Haku, as she wasn't going to be too polite now, and heard the angry hiss from Yugito. You take that back, said Yugito, as she was now getting ready to gut the girl with her now clawed hands, and incinerate this ice user with Nibi's power. Before the fight with the girls could even happen, Naruto came into the room sensing the killer intent growing, and his commanding aura subdued the hostile women. Walking up to them, Naruto looked at each girl, and saw they were now looking away ashamed like children being looked at by their parents after getting involved in a senseless fight with a sibling. This is a house both of you share with me. I do not understand why the need for you to start some form of territorial pissing contest when it comes to my affection, but I will not stand for it in this house, and I expect the two of you to get along. Both of you have had hard live and I hope that such similarities would bring you together. Instead, I find you two doing the opposite, and it has become most taxing on my person, said Naruto, as his voice held a form of sorrow in it that made the girls feel even guiltier, and nearly reduced them both to tears. I am sorry, Naruto-sama. Please forgive me, said Haku, as she didn't want her precious person to be displeased, and mentally cursed herself for falling off the path. I'm sorry too, Naruto-sama. This is a new experience for me, and to act like this is not in my nature, said Yugito, as she saw the boy nod with a look of understanding, and was glad that Naruto was not one to deliver mindless punishments for mindless squabbles. I know. I just want both to be happy, said Naruto, as he left without another word, and left both girls alone to the silence. Truce? Said Yugito, as she held out her hand, and Haku shook it seconds later. Truce, said Haku, as she was not about to see her precious person feel like a rope in this tug of war, and was going to show him that there were people who cared about his own happiness. Konoha Shinobi Academy room number 301, I can't believe we're all here meeting like this again, said Tenten, as she saw the others, and her team greeted the other rookie 9. Yep. Ready to kick ass and take names, said Kiba, as he got a lot of looks at that from the opposition, and Hinata was trying to hide behind Shino. Unless it is your fate to fall early in this exam, said Neji, as he smirked at the angry look Kiba was giving him, and how Shino was putting a hand on the Inuzuka's shoulder to stop the brash boy from doing something stupid. Shut up. You're causing a stir that doesn't need to happen with the tension already in the room, said a voice from a body crouch in a corner and saw a boy with glasses. Who are you? Said Sasuke, as he walked over with the others, and saw the boy smile at him while pushing up his glasses. Me? Just another leaf shinobi like you guys. My name is Kabuto, said Kabuto, as he took out some cards, and began shuffling them. So you're a Junin like us. Is this your first time taking the Chunin exams? Said Sakura with interest, and knew that people could take the Chunin exams more than once. No, this is my 7th time taking it, said Kabuto with a sheepish grin on his face. 7? Damn, you must have been pretty weak to try so many times, said Kiba, as he saw Kabuto glare at him, and ignored it for the most part. True, but with each defeat comes knowledge needed for victory, and here in my hand is the means to win this time, said Kabuto, as he showed them his cards, and saw they were intrigued by them. Info cards? Said Hinata, as she had heard about them, and the academy also used them for stats teachers had for their students. Yep. These babies give me information on the people participating, so I know how to handle each person when my team runs into them during the exams, said Kabuto, as he saw Sasuke looking interested, and so did the Hyuga boy. What do you have on the Suna team over there? Said Neji, as he saw the one with red hair looking ready to kill someone right now, and was barely showing restraint. Them? Oh, you didn't know? Those are the Kazekage's own children? They are pretty strong and have been trained since the day they could walk in being a shinobi, said Kabuto, as he produced a card for each sibling, and read it off giving the stats of each one. You said you had info on everyone, right? Not just for the exams? Said Sasuke, as he had a curious look in his eyes, and had gotten the other intrigued. It is possible if you know the person's name, said Kabuto, as he raised an eyebrow at what Sasuke was asking, and got ready to take out a card. Uzumaki Naruto, said Sasuke, as he got several gasps from the others, and concerned looks over asking for such information. Sasuke-kun, you know the Hokage told you to keep quiet about him, and to not mention the boy to protect him from potential enemies outside of the village, said Sakura, as she saw her crushed scowl, and ignored her comment regarding what the Hokage ordered them not to do. I don't care what the Hokage thinks regarding Naruto. He attacked me, defeated a strong enemy that I could not, and seems to have the respect of a sensei who does not give me my own from which I deserve, said Sasuke, as he glared at Sakura, and then turned to Kabuto to see if he had the information. Let's see, Uzumaki Naruto. Origins are unknown. Skills are also unknown, but is said to wield incredible power that could be cage level, and has a summons with the power of lightning at his command. That's it, said Kabuto, as he showed them the info, and saw the Uchiha looking angry at seeing such little piece of information when there was clearly more to it than that. Your secrets will be mine. I'll have to ask the councils to make an inquiry and say that Naruto is someone that we cannot trust unless we learn all his secrets. Secrets that will lead to power that will destroy Itachi, thought Sasuke, as he would find out what Naruto was hiding, and then use it when the time was right. Wow. That Naruto kid we saw might be cage level? Maybe he can give me a few tips with a sword, thought Tenten, as she remembered how the boy had thrown that Nadachi like it was a softball, and then summoned that strange summons. I knew Naruto K-kun was as strong, thought Hinata, as she had clearly seen, without her Byakugan, by the boy's focus, and power that he was unmatched by anyone around him. Further thoughts on the blonde, good or ill, was stopped when the scar-faced man known to many as Morino Aviki stepped into the room with a team of proctors. Alright you bastards, I want you to sit down, shut up, and pay attention because if you don't I'll kick you of here faster than crap goes through a goose, yelled Aviki, as he made everyone turn their attention to him, and the proctors of this exam. The Chunin exams were about to start. Elsewhere, Morino Aviki? As in Morino Aviki, the head of interrogation and torture department of the Leaf? Said Asuma, as he was now worried about his students, and made a mental note to teach them better after this was over. What? What's about Aviki? Said Kurenai, as she wanted to know what her students were getting into while she lounged here with a smoker, hyperactive bushy-brow man, and a book-reading pervert. Oh, you don't know, do you Kurenai? I'll tell you then. As his title says, Aviki is the head of the interrogation and torture department, and deals with his own brand of torture to make the enemies we capture spill their guts, said Asuma, as he took an intake of his cig, and let out the smoke moments later. What kind of torture? Said Kurenai, as she was worried about Hinata, and how the shy girl could fall to pieces if too much pressure was applied. Mostly mental and psychological torture. The man gets into your head and you're not the same again afterwards. Your friend Anko works under him Kurenai, though I think she specializes on the body kind of torture, and not the mental kind, said Asuma, as he took another drag, and saw Guy looking a bit jumpy since he was concerned for his students too. I find that the most effective way to torture someone is to find out what they hold dear to them and then make the person believe you will, said Naruto, as he appeared in a vapor of green mana, and frightened the 4 Jounin out of their seats. After the 4 Jounin came back from their missions involving Naruto, they were told privately about Naruto, and to interact with him whenever possible. Sarutobi wanted to have the boy have some form of normalcy in his body and he needed interaction from people on a certain level. Naruto, I keep telling you not to do that, said Kakashi, as his prized Icha Paradise book was now on fire from landing on Asuma's ashtray, and he was trying to stop it. I was trying to be funny. Judging by Kurenai's smile, as well as Guy's fit of laughter, I thought I had succeeded, and did something funny. Was I wrong? Said Naruto, as he saw Kurenai blush in embarrassment, and got a small glare from Kakashi. Guy was still laughing. That depends on the point of view of the people in the room, said Asuma, as he saw the female Jounin trying not to look at Naruto's direction, and was about to take another drag of his cig when Kakashi took it from him before stomping on it. Not so funny, is it? Said Kakashi with his eye now U-shaped and getting a glare from his fellow Jounin. Asshole, said Asuma, as he was going to have to wait until he could get home to get another set of cigs, and light one to hold down the addictive nicotine in his bloodstream. Men, why can't they be civilized, said Kurenai, as she saw the two arguing, and Guy on the ground still breathing heavily from laughing with the only one being civilized was Naruto looking at her. Don't be so judgmental of the male gender Kurenai-san. I have witnessed the simple fact that one Mitarashi Anko hardly acts civilized after a few drinks of sake and if provoked becomes violent, said Naruto, as he saw Kurenai's eyes widen, and then looking away in embarrassment at this fact. Good point Naruto-kun, said Kurenai before she blushed further when she realized the choice of suffix in her words, and saw, barely, the raised eyebrow beneath the hood that held back that spiky golden blonde hair. However, the raised eyebrow aside, Naruto didn't say anything, but rather turned around, and started leaving the room before stopping at the door. From your choice of suffix to my name Kurenai-san, I would imagine you think of me possibly beyond that of a comrade of sorts, and while I am a few years younger than you, I would not mind your company if I ever went out to eat, said Naruto, as he saw the woman's face now cherry red that nearly matched her eyes, and walked off to leave the 4 Jounin to do whatever it is they do. If I didn't know any better, I would think that Naruto was flirting with me? Thought Kurenai, as she shook her head at the idea, and wondered what possessed her to think like that. Though Kurenai did make a mental note to spend some time with the blonde if she ever did see him out and about the village at night. Outside of the Forest of Death sometime later, alright you sissies, this large piece of land behind me is the Forest of Death, and like its name suggests it has the power to kill you if you're not careful, said Mitarashi Anko, as she came into the Shinobi Academy being her traditional wild self, and came through the closed window to scare the crap out of the Jinan potentials. Damn, said Kiba, as he looked at the Forest of Death with awe and fear since his mom had told him to stay the hell away from it. What are we doing for this part of the exam? Said a boy from the Sound Village with bandages on his face. Simple. You each get a scroll, but what one of you gets another will get differently, and it's up to your team to get the different second scroll from another team that has it. Now because this is the lethal part of the Chunin exams, I need you to sign these forms to state the Leaf isn't responsible in the off chance you die, and that you understand what you're getting yourself into, said Anko, as she now had a stack of papers that were the release forms, and had her 2 proctors help distribute them. Anything else we should know? Said Shino, as he saw Hinata getting nervous with the prior test nearly making the girl raise her hand to give up, and in all honesty the Aburame had suspected the girl might. Until, he saw Hinata come to a realization of sorts, and his bug that was on her apparently heard her say Naruto before putting the hand down. It wasn't a surprise to Shino that after what happened back near the Fire and Lightning Country border that Naruto's appearance had created a surge of confidence in Hyuga Eris. It was constant, but it was enough to give Hinata the courage to participate in the Chunin exams after Kurenai nominated them, and make it this far. Only the simple fact that will be clear in this forest of death. If you are strong, then you will live, and if you are weak, you will die, said Naruto, as he appeared to the right of the large group of Junin, and saw the surprises on everyone's faces at his words. Harsh, said Choji, as he munched on his chips, and saw Lee nodding his head. Perhaps, but then again not all things in life are pleasant, and only by being strong does one survive such a life, said Naruto, as he walked over to Anko, and handed her a slip of paper with orders on it by the Hokage. Damn. And here I wanted to show the Gaki my own appreciation for further scaring the crap out of the Genins here. Maybe later then, thought Anko, as she had finished reading the note, and then destroyed it. You have 5 days to make it to the central tower with the 2 scrolls required to continue to the next part of the exams. Ready? Set? Go, said Naruto, as he activated the spell Quake with a stomp of his foot, and made the ground tremble before crumbling around the Junin. Holy crap. I think I'm in love. Thought Anko, as she saw the Junin teams get off the ground before going through their gate area, and some glared at the blonde for that little stunt. As I had originally suspected, some of these Junin are well beyond their rank, and need to be watched closely, thought Naruto, as he soon sat down in meditative position, and waited for the deceivers to make themselves known to him. Things were getting interesting real soon. Chapter 4 Chunin Preliminaries. Naruto sat in mediation outside the Forest of Death, and near him was Mitarashi Anko sitting down near him eating dengo, happily humming away at eating her tasty treat. On occasion the snake woman would look at Naruto to see if the living statue would turn his eyes to her, but saw the boy did not, and yet Anko sensed no disgust that others normally gave off when in her presence. In a way, it was refreshing since most of the people in the Leaf had despised her due to the apprenticeship she took on with Orochimaru, and felt Anko was a part of the traitorous Sani. However, Naruto seemed to be tolerating her presence as if she was Orochimaru's failed student, and seemed to almost treat her with a form of indifference. Like he was waiting to see for himself just who Anko really was and not the stories people told about her. So, how is everything? Said Anko, as she decided to make some kind of conversation with the boy, and make a good impression on Naruto. Fine. And you? From what I've heard, you are skilled in the ways of torturing prisoners of the Leaf, and are quite good at it, said Naruto, as he saw Anko blush at his praise, and wondered why that was. Well, it is an art in itself. Making tough guys beg for their mommies before they tell me what I want to know, said Anko, as she grinned sheepishly at him, and felt like a horny schoolgirl for some reason when Naruto opened his eyes to look back at her. Yes, it is an art itself. Perhaps later, we can swap notes? Said Naruto, as he saw Anko look at him with surprise, but failed to notice why the woman was now sweating slightly, and her breathing increased noticeably from his words. What Naruto didn't realize was outside of Ibiki, the Hokage, and her dear friend Kurenai, this was as close to a friendship that Anko had gotten with someone in the Leaf. Some people had tried to be Anko's friend, only to backstab her, or try to get into her panties if they were of the male persuasion. However, here was this blonde-haired kid, who was none of those people, asking Anko to possibly swap notes in torture, and be the closest thing she has to a friend right now. Sure. I mean, if you want to, of course, I would have to check with my boss if I can, and go through the proper channels since such information is mostly ours, said Anko, as she was trying to keep her excitement about this to a minimum, which she was, since the way of doing this at their max would be setting off every explosive tag at her disposal while dancing around with joy. And maybe a strip tease for Naruto if he were older by a few years. Anko-san, we have an emergency, said one of the Chunin proctors from the first test with another proctor right beside him. Oh yeah? What's the problem? Said Anko, as she mentally cursed those 2 idiots for arriving now, and wondered how she was going to get them back in the future. Several bodies were found near several Buddha statues from the grass village with their faces missing. From what our records show, there was only 1 team from grass entering in this exam, and they are in the Forest of Death right now, said the Chunin proctor, who looked at Naruto now getting off the ground, and turning to the Forest of Death with a deadly look about him. As I suspected. Tell the Hokage about this immediately while Anko and I handles this little incursion personally, said Naruto, as he had been entrusted with the safety of the leaf, and didn't like it someone tried to undermine his duty. One did not walk through the valley of the shadow of death and not expect to pay for trespassing upon the Black Angel's domain with one's soul. Are you sure? Said the Chunin proctor, as he looked at Naruto, and then at Anko to silently ask the woman who this kid was. Yes. Come Anko-san, we have some intruders to hunt down, and destroy, said Naruto, as he entered one of the gates, and didn't look back. You heard him. Tell the Hokage while I help the Gaki find our intruders, said Anko, as she was now giddy with excitement at being alone with Naruto, and maybe after finding these foes of the leaf she might want to do something else? What happened in the Forest of Death stayed in the Forest of the Death after all. Forest of Death sometime later, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and their pale-skinned teammate Sai were fighting for their very lives against an unnamed female grass shinobi. It was unknown how skilled the woman was, but it was clearly beyond that of Junon level, and even at the level she was displaying now, it was merely at level that toyed with Team 7. Sasuke, being the most skilled, officially, among his teammates had launched himself into fighting this foe by himself, as his pride as an Uchiha demanded he do no less, and was able to hold his own, thanks to his Sharingan eyes. Sakura could only watch from the sidelines, as her crush was pushing himself, and Sai was using his specialty with ink to create projectiles that would attack when the Uchiha could not. Not bad Sasuke-kun. You are indeed the prodigy that the leaf makes you out to be, said the grass shinobi, as she fended off the Uchiha's taijutsu, and repelled the boy back easily enough. Fire style, Phoenix Fireballs Jutsu, said Sasuke, as he shot multiple fireballs at the grass shinobi, and the woman dodged them easily without so much as damaging a lock of her hair. Good, but still I imagine Itachi could do better, and at least make me feel the heat from that fire jutsu, said the grass shinobi and saw the burning anger in Sasuke's eyes. I'll show him. Thought Sasuke, as he began to attack with renewed vigor, and fight back against the grass shinobi still toying with him. Not far off, I sense a spike in power in this direction. Much larger than a Junon's level should be and even more than that of a Chunin, said Naruto, as he had sensed the mana level of his foe being much higher than the other Junon in this Forest of Death, and from the look on Anko's face it seemed she knew this foe. It's him. After all this time that traitor has come back to the leaf. I'm going to tear him to pieces and making him beg for mercy for a change, said Anko, as she rushed towards the area where Orochimaru was, and Naruto raised an eyebrow before following the now angry woman to fight this ghost from her past. Back with Team 7, Sasuke found himself slammed against a tree before collapsing to his knees in pain, and the grass shinobi, now having revealed himself as Orochimaru, was laughing at the boy while the other two Junon of Team 7 were knocked out. The Sannin did not care for the other two, as one girl was weak beyond belief, and the pale-skinned boy Sai, while much stronger than the girl, had something off about him. This told Orochimaru that Sai had already become the servant of a master of someone else already, which was most likely Danzo, since only that man in the leaf that could do that, and there was no reason to usurp his hidden partner. Not yet anyway. You do have such potential, Sasuke. Indeed you will be perfect for this gift I have for you to use should it not kill your precious body, said Orochimaru, as he made hand signs before stretching out his neck, and prepared to bite the boy's neck. He was interrupted by a flash of something that caught the Sannin's eye to his right that made him stop just in time to avoid a long blade from hitting his skull and pierced a tree trunk not that far away. Orochimaru looked at where the blade was, then in the direction it was thrown before seeing a face he had not seen in some time, and was looking quite joyful since it had been a long time since he had seen Anko. I'm going to enjoy skinning you alive, bastard traitor, said Anko, as she brought out a kunai, and charged at the Sannin with the full intent of taking his head clean off. You've gotten stronger, Anko, but nowhere near as strong as me, and you forget that I know everything you know since I trained you in my arts, said Orochimaru, as he put more effort in fighting his former student off than when he fought Team 7, and loved how Anko got so angry just from seeing his face. True, but you don't know what I'll use first, and that gives me an edge, said Anko, as she shot out snakes from the sleeves of her trench coat, and had them wrap around him before having them squeeze the life out of the Sannin. Only for the man to turn into dirt. You never could tell if you were fighting me or a mud clone, said Orochimaru, as he appeared to rise from within the tree branch, and punched the woman in the face with the impact, sending her into the tree trunk with a harsh crunch sound. I will kill you, said Anko, as she tried to get up, and then felt a pain hitting her neck where the curse seal he had given her had started acting up. Such foolish dreams. Now you know one of the reasons why I considered you a failure before I end your life. Goodbye, my old student. Out of all the experiments I had, you will be missed the most, and always be my favorite, said Orochimaru, as he had picked up the kunai Anko had dropped, and prepared to stab the woman right through the skull to end her life like she tried to end his own. The blade was inches from her face when an foot hit Orochimaru right in the face and sent the Sannin flying through 2 trees before stopping at the third with a heavy imprint of his form forever forged into its trunk. When Anko looked up at her savior, she saw Naruto land gracefully after hitting Orochimaru with a spin kick, and looked back at her with data-gathering eyes. "Are you okay?" said Naruto, as he saw her get off the ground, and wincing slightly from her back being sent into the tree. "Sure. Nothing my chiropractor can't fix," said Anko, as she cracked her back, and looked at where Team 7 was knocked out though they looked to wake up soon. "What's this? An apprentice of your own, Anko-chan? Or perhaps a toy to amuse yourself with? Either way, the kick he gave me was very impressive, and it's only fitting I test his skills to see how strong he is," said Orochimaru, as he had blood running from his nose after it had been broken by the kick, and snapped back into place. Anko snarled at him, as she had no one to teach her skills to many because the councils felt she was damaged goods because of her past relationship with the Sannin in the first place, and had basically banned her from taking on any Junin teams until further notice. That of course meant never, despite the Hokage's claims that she had no further loyalty to the bastard and was loyal to the leaf like any other shinobi in it. "Come at me then, Orochimaru of the Sannin. Let us see if you are as strong as everyone has claimed you are," said Naruto, as his blade that was in the tree appeared in his hands, and took a few steps forward. "I thought that sword was Anko's. Looks like I was mistaken. No matter. If this brat thinks he's in my league, then he's about to get a rude wake-up call," thought Orochimaru, as he had a snake come out of his throat with a sword, and prepared for a sword fight with the blonde. A one-sided sword fight and not in the Sannin's favor. If there was one skill that Orochimaru possessed outside of the art of complex sealing, it was the art of Kenjutsu, and right now that weak skill was coming back to bite him. It was clear that despite Naruto's age, the boy was the much better swordsman, and could hold his own against Orochimaru's Kusanagi without breaking a sweat. "Sword art, Tempest Thrust," said Naruto, as he charged his sword with lightning, and thrust his blade at Orochimaru. "Ah! Damn it! Whoever taught this gaki, it was not Anko," thought Orochimaru, as he blocked the blow, but the lightning traveled through his sword, and into his body. Leaping back, Orochimaru unleashed a large swarm of snakes from his sleeve that were much greater than Anko's move, and wrapped them around the blonde in order to disable him long enough to get in close for the kill. However, the plan only worked halfway, as the snakes wrapped around Naruto, but were instantly frozen over at the whispery voice of the boy saying freeze with the ice traveling towards the Sannin's arm, and the man had to break his connection with his snakes before he too was frozen. "Try fire," said Naruto, as 3 fireballs appeared before him, and then shot out towards Orochimaru, now dodging them after it became apparent that they would not go away. "Summoning, triple Rashomon," said Orochimaru, as he waited until the 3 orbs of fire all missed, and slammed his hands down to summon his strongest defense in his jutsu arsenal. Boom! The explosion of the fireballs blew the gates the Sannin had summoned to pieces and gave Orochimaru the chance to seek higher ground while Naruto waited for the explosion to pass. Anko herself was pressed against a tree trunk, as she tried not to be blown away, and Team 7 was doing the same with barely any success. However, Orochimaru was not interested in anyone right now, but Naruto due to the boy's power, and the Sannin was quite surprised that there was a potential vessel out there greater than that of an Uchiha. Maybe too powerful, but that could be changed by simply putting things in his favor, and a certain curse seal he had designed to make others be forced into submission was the key to it all. "Most impressive boy. You have power beyond that of even my wildest dreams, and to honor you with that fact, I will give you a gift fitting for one who will one day be my new vessel." "Ten no joie," said Orochimaru, as he shot out his neck for a second time, and scored dead on with biting flesh along the neck of Naruto before retracting back instantly while screeching out in pain. The snake Sannin was clutching his mouth like he had been burned, screaming out curses at this strange phenomenon that had occurred when he tried to use his curse seal on the boy, and looked down at Naruto currently looking up at him with a frown. In his mind, Orochimaru didn't understand how his curse seal had failed him when every other time it had been used was 10% successful upon being applied, and made the user submit to his will. Now it was hurting him. "QB, any damage to my body?" thought Naruto, as he talked with QB, who was now checking the boy, and found nothing wrong. "Not at the moment, no. Whatever power that curse seal had was destroyed instantly from the Mako in your blood," said QB, as he checked his vessel thoroughly, and had found nothing wrong with Naruto. "Good. Now I can remove this stain from the leaf," thought Naruto, as he flew up to the tree branch where Orochimaru was howling in pain, and brought his sword up ready to end the Sannin's life. And that was when things went bad for Naruto. From the moment pain ran through his body, Naruto ignored it, but suspected that it was a result of the curse seal, and decided to have Kyuubi deal with it after this. However, the pain spiked with such unexpected strength that it frozen him in mid-swing, and his body soon felt like someone had set it on fire. Naruto felt his sword become too heavy to hold, as it fell from his grip before he fell to his knees, and began to spasm violently like he was being struck by some invisible force. He felt blood leaving his eye sockets, down his ears, and down his nose, while the rest of Naruto's body felt like he had done a swan dive right into a pit of molten lava. From a distance, Anko watched in horror, as the sight before her that made her almost want to puke, and wondered what her bastard of a former sensei did to Naruto. She was impressed by the blonde's pain resistance to the curse seal when she saw Orochimaru bite him, but even more so that the curse seal had failed to even take hold, and wondered how that was possible for the kid to do that. And then, she sees Naruto have some kind of seizure or spasm just as he was about to end Orochimaru's life, and now the boy was now feeling what Anko could only imagine was pain worse than death. Within seconds of slumping to the ground, Anko moved to reach him, but stopped when she felt a power unlike anything she had ever felt before pulsing from Naruto. It wasn't a kind type of power, but it wasn't cruel either, as it rose around Naruto, and doing almost what looked like some strange dance. For a moment, Anko could only stare at this power, as it continued to rise several more feet off the ground, taking Naruto with it, and soon the energy seemed to consume the boy's body before the shadow of his figure could be seen within it. What in the name of Kami is going on? Thought Anko, as she saw the ball of energy pulsing with greater strength with each passing second, and it was making the woman's hair feel like it was standing on end. Anko got the answer to her question when she saw a large ball of energy expand in a way bubble did right before it bursts, and burst it did before covering the entire forest along with all its inhabitants in its light. Anko felt like she had been touched by some kind of power that was an extension of Kami himself, as she felt the energy pass over her, and wondered if this kid was really a demigod. Subaku no Gaara had just killed the Chunin team from Rain when the light washed over him and his siblings with its power that made the red-haired boy freeze practically in mid-step. Inside of him, Shukaku, the one-tailed raccoon sand spirit, was howling with insanity at the power that was unleashed, and telling Gaara to stay away from whatever it was that caused it. For once, Gaara was in agreement with his demon, and saw his siblings were also heavily sweating from it like he was under the sand that was on his skin. Team 8 had frozen in their tracks too, as Hinata winced painfully at the power that had hit her, and Shino was actually making heavy breathing noises while shaking all over. Kiba on the ground getting ready to puke, while his dog Akamaru whined and curled up into a ball next to its master after releasing its bladder all over the ground. Team 9 was the same way with Neji, as his eyes were in pain too from the power that hit him, and Tenten felt her body trembling in wonder at what caused that kind of power. As for Lee, while not able to sense chakra due to his body's lack of having more than enough to live, did have sharp eyes, and saw the light that had covered them now spreading through the rest of the forest. Team 10 was also breathing heavily too, as Choji had lost his desire to eat, Shikamaru not even going to think the word troublesome for quite a while, and Ino near to the point of hyperventilating at the feeling of the energy that washed through them. At the same time, as if luck was on their side, a Chunin team sent by Mist was above them with 2 scrolls, but after the light washed over them, the team collapsed from their perch, and hitting tree branches before hitting the ground in front of Team 10 with both scrolls needed to make it to the next stage of the exams. Not one to look a gift horse in the mouth, Team 10 took it, and then they ran like hell to the central tower. The Sound team, which was supposed to ambush Team 7 after Orochimaru got in his time with them, were looking at each other, and then replayed back everything that had happened in their heads. They had both scrolls, they were in good shape, and Orochimaru now somehow escaping while in pain. All in favor of going to the central tower, raise your hand, said Dosu, as he saw his 2 teammates raise their hands with him, and nodded before they took off to the tower. Central Tower 2 days later, the Sandaime Hokage sighed, as he sat in his chair rubbing his temples while trying to get the headache running through his head out of it, and looked at the report Anko gave him. His most valuable assets to the leaf had been crippled by some form of resistance Naruto had to the curse seal Orochimaru tried to give him, with the cure being possibly worse than the disease. When Anko had come into the tower, she held what looked like a burnt corpse, and screaming out for a medic nin to help her save Naruto. In truth, the Sandaime had gone to see the boy himself, and now wished he hadn't seen the sight before him that was Naruto, since it made him puke into a bucket seconds later. The poor boy was the poster child for what happens to sinners when they enter hell, and the only thing missing now was demons with pitchforks poking at the charred body. The power Naruto had unleashed was greater than anything that anyone had felt before in the Forest of Death, and only a handful of people knew it was him. From what Anko told him, Naruto had repelled Orochimaru easily, and had somehow caused the Sannin harm when the man had tried to give the boy the curse seal. I don't know what you did, Naruto, but I do hope you can recover from it, and help me with the problems we're about to face, thought the Sandaime, as he hoped the boy would recover since the medic that examined the boy was in for months if not years worth of physical therapy in order to recover. Kami only knew how Haku would take this since she had been told only moments ago. With Naruto at the moment, Anko was watching over the kid until he could be cleared by the medics to be moved from the hospital, and the woman felt sorrow filled her heart at the moment. Naruto's clothes had been removed to be washed of the blood that stained them and would be returned to him shortly. Now the blonde was covered head to toe in bandages, with them being changed every few hours, and it made Anko look away at what had become Naruto shortly after saving her from Orochimaru. Why is it that every single time I get close to someone, the person gets hurt, or leaves me because of my past? Thought Anko, as she was beginning to think that her curse seal was living up its name in more ways than one, and it was becoming upsetting to her life. "Let me through. Let me through," said a girl's voice outside of the room and got Anko's attention. "Miss, you can't go in there," said one of the Anbu guards outside the room to protect the boy by the order of the Hokage. "The hell I can't," said the girl, who was clearly pissed off at being denied to see Naruto, and made it known by sound of broken bones the Anbu now had before being thrown face first into a wall. Seconds later, Haku came bursting into the room to see Anko before turning her sights to the right to see Naruto lying there on the bed in bandages and machines monitoring his vital signs. She instantly ran to his side while ignoring Anko's words to stop and held onto his hand while looking him over with a critical eye. "Haku," said Naruto in a tired whispery voice, as he opened his eyes, and saw the girl smile down at him, and put her head to his chest while crying while hearing his heart beating strongly into her ears. "Naruto-sama. My Naruto-sama," said Haku, as she let her tears fall freely, and kept her head on his chest in fear that any moment his heart would stop beating that beautiful sound into her ears. "It's all right, Haku. I am here," said Naruto, as he raised his free bandaged hand up to her back, and slowly touched it. "Where is he?" "I was told he was here," said Yugito, as she had heard the news too, but had to come wearing a Nico mask, which in reality suited her just fine, and wanted to see Naruto too. "Looks like the gang is all here. I guess I would just be a third wheel. Or am I the fourth one in this?" thought Anko, as she was about to leave, and let the group be alone when she heard his voice call out to her. "Stay, Anko. You don't have to leave," said Naruto, as he found it strange that both girls would do this for him, and even stranger for Anko to leave at their presence. "Really? I don't want to intrude," said Anko, as she saw the boy trying to sit up, but the two girls by his side kept him down, and telling him not to hurt himself. "I insist. You brought me here and looked after me for the past few days since then," said Naruto, as he found both girls surrounding him now eyeing Anko carefully, and making the snake woman nervous. "Yeah, but I was just doing my job, and I thought after you saved me from Orochimaru that I should return the favor," said Anko, as she tried to keep her face from being flushed in front of him, and decided to focus on something else. "Still, I would like the additional company, and I'm sure you would like to see me when I am fully healed soon," said Naruto, as he smiled despite the bandages, and saw the three shocked looks of the girls in the room. "Soon? But Naruto-sama, your injuries are severe. You can't be healed so soon after what has happened to your body," said Haku, as she grew concerned that Naruto had suddenly developed some kind of belief that he was indestructible, and didn't want him overtaxing himself. "I heal fast, Haku. In a few hours I will be fully healed," said Naruto, as if this was normal for someone like him, and the girls looked at him like he was crazy. "But no normal person can heal that fast," said Yugito curiously, as she had heard that in most cases demon vessels can heal faster than normal humans, but even then it still takes time to do it, and as far as she knew Naruto did not hold a demon. "Yugito-san, you along with Haku-san know that I am not a normal person, and I have already calculated the extent of the damage done to my body before factoring in the rate I will heal. Trust me," said Naruto, as he gives both girls' hands a squeeze, and both of his housemates can only nod since he had never deceived them while he closed his eyes to rest. "We both trust you, Naruto-sama, it is just we worry about your health, and want you to heal properly," said Yugito, as she looked at Haku, and then at Anko to see what they thought of this. Both thought Naruto was crazy, but it really wasn't their place, and could only wait to see if the boy's statement was true. "Naruto's mindscape, you were mistaken when I asked you if the curse seal did any damage my body," said Naruto, as he saw the Kyuubi in his mindscape staring back at him through the cage it was in, and had the same ice-cold look as its vessel. "Yes and no. I was mistaken about the curse seal, but it was not what caused of the damage to your body," but it was the component that started the chain reaction to it, and the means of getting your full strength back, said QB, as he saw Naruto's eyes widen, and then saw the connection to the life stream weaving its way through the tunnels of his mind all the way through to the rest of his body. It allowed an opening to the life stream, which I was cut off from due to the banishment spell, the what I used originally to get rid of me, and after several years of being cut off from it, the receiving of its power through my body was like accepting all of your power at once, said Naruto, as he saw the fox nod, and let its power out of the seal into the boy's mindscape of a body. Let this run its course through your body to heal your wounds, said QB, as he saw his vessel nod, and relax into the realm of sleeping while his body healed. Elsewhere in the central tower several hours later, you're saying it was Naruto that caused that power-filled light? Said Kiba, as he saw Sasuke nod his head, and told them about what happened with Orochimaru. That special Jounin Anko saw everything, but it's clear the source of it came from that Naruto kid, and there is more to him than we are being told, said Sasuke, as he wanted to know how this blonde nobody got so strong, and went toe-to-toe with Orochimaru. You know the Hokage forbid us from pressing this matter, Sasuke-san. To press it further would be considered treason, and not even you could get away from being punished for such a thing, said Neji, as he saw Sasuke scowl at him, and was very tempted to use the Byakugan on the slightly younger Junon. Regardless, we deserve to know just who it is we're protecting here, and find out how he became so powerful. You can't deny that you are curious about him too, said Sasuke, as he saw them deep in thought, and knew they were indeed curious about the blonde. He's here in the tower. My eyes have told me that much. His chakra is practically oozing off his body in the medical center of this building, said Neji, as he had flinched from the time he did it, and wondered if there was a limit to the amount of power Naruto had. We should respect his privacy, said Hinata, as she didn't want Naruto to be hassled over this since they did owe him for saving their lives from before, and didn't want him to be insulted by their actions. Yes, you should, said Kurenai, as she was proud of her students in making it this far, and even more for Hinata to show courage in defending the boy. What about that huge amount of light? The power behind it was huge, said Kiba, as he was still shaking every time he thought of that moment, and Akamaru would do the same thing. That's for Naruto to know and his choice to tell you if so desires too, said Kurenai, as she was grateful to Naruto for helping Anko from Orochimaru, and wanted to help repay his efforts in her own way. Kurenai is right. Besides, you all have more important things to worry about, and that is the next stage of the preliminaries coming up, said Asuma, as he saw his team nod, and the others did the same. Yosh. My students, you have done incredibly well to make it this far, and to celebrate I say we do 300 push-ups followed by 30 laps around Konoha, said Guy, as he saw the rookies look at Guy like he was crazy, and two of the two members of Team 9 slumped their heads in embarrassment at their sensei's actions. How about we go out to eat and celebrate that way? Said Tenten, as she saw Guy look thoughtful, and Lee was reprimanding her for questioning their sensei's idea for her own. Very well, and to further make it special I shall invite Naruto-san to the party since it will be a chance for us to get to know him better, said Guy, as he saw Tenten light up, and so did Lee since he wanted to possibly spar with Naruto sometime in the future. Neji frowned at the thought since Naruto was a commoner in his eyes and members of the Hyuga clan do not associate with commoners. Regardless if they have the power to wipe anyone that crosses them off the face of the planet. Do you know when we will see Naruto-kun? Said Hinata, as she shyly poked her fingers together, and saw Kurenai looking away with sadness in her eyes. I'm sorry Hinata, but the energy that Naruto was apparently the source of has caused him to be badly injured and will be out of action for an unknown amount of time. From what Anko told me yesterday, Naruto's body was badly burned, and will require a great deal of therapy to recover, said Kurenai, as she heard gasps, and flinches from every one of the leaf Shinnon in front of her. How badly burned? Said Shikamaru, as he wondered what the extent of his injuries were, and saw the woman flinch at an apparent memory of Anko's words. All over I'm afraid. From head to toe in burns, said Kurenai, as she saw Hinata looking like she was getting ready to hyperventilate, and the Genjutsu mistress couldn't blame her. I have some medical C creams I made tea that heal badly damaged skin. See could I give them tea to him? Said Hinata, as she wanted to help Naruto, and her own skills with medicine were pretty good considering she was the failure of the Hyuga clan. That's sweet of you Hinata, but I don't think your creams can help him in the condition Naruto is currently in, and the sight of him may be too much for you to handle, said Kurenai, as she had heard the rumors, and wondered how the kid didn't die yet from the pain his body was in. If Tsunade-sama were here, she could fix him up in no time, said Tenten, as she knew if Tsunade's medical skills were second to none, and was the one person that could help Naruto more than anyone else currently in the leaf. Unfortunately, Tsunade-sama is not in the village, and we will have to make do with the medics we have on hand to heal Naruto. Just do your best in the upcoming portion of the exams and I'll try speak to my old man to get you to see Naruto afterwards, said Asuma, as he saw most of the group brighten up at that, and each team went off to do their own separate things. You saw the looks like I did, right? Said Guy, as he looked at the other jounin with him, and they nodded while Asuma just smirked. Yeah, the kid has got quite the collection of girls after him, said Asuma, as he let out a chuckle, and saw Kurenai scowl at him, though she only did it because a part of her was a little upset for some reason at the flock of girls thinking about the cute blonde. Wait. Did she just think Naruto was cute? No. Well, maybe a little, but Kurenai wasn't going to admit it, and not in front of the others standing beside her. Shut up you pervert, said Kurenai, as she left to see Anko, and check out the rumors for herself about how badly injured Naruto was. With Naruto 4 hours later, Naruto opened his eyes, as he felt his body was now fully healed, and he was alone in the room with the sound of someone in the next room humming. Sitting up on his bed, the former soldier proceeded to remove all of the little devices connected to his body, and began removing the bandages from his body before eyeing his clothing now clean of the smell of his own blood. Stripping himself of the rest of his bandages, as well as the hospital gown they gave him, Naruto walked over to his clothes, and was about to put them on when the door to the room connected to this one, the bathroom, opened with Anko walking out of it. The snake woman had been put in charge of watching over Naruto while the other two girls went out to find the blonde sword left in the forest of death, and now Anko was quite surprised to see the nude form of a fully healed Uzumaki Naruto standing up. Damn. This Gaki's got muscles on his muscles, and such a handsome face even at his age makes you feel warm all over, thought Anko before she looked down to see something that made the woman's eyes widen in disbelief, her face blush, and then her nose shooting out a waterfall of blood that sent her back into the bathroom. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the reaction to his nude form, but ignored it since men had done the same thing when seeing women in the nude, and assumed it was some natural reaction for both genders he had yet to experience, if ever at all. Further thoughts on the matter left him, as Haku along with Yugito came in with Naruto's sword, and saw him in his current nude form. "En Naruto-sama," said Haku in a squeaky voice, as she was too surprised to look away, and was trying, and failing, to keep the perverted thoughts out of her head. "And I thought he was well developed before," thought Yugito, as she was practically in the same boat as Haku, but the Nibi was making things worse, and the demon cat was telling her vessel to take him now before anyone else did, while shooting more erotic images into the poor woman's head. "I see you found my sword," said Naruto, as he saw their faces heat up further since they currently focusing on his other sword right now, and only nodded their heads dumbly. "Not like it wasn't hard to find, right kitten?" said Nibi, as she giggled perversely, and knew that her vessel had hit the pre-verbal jackpot. Strange. They normally don't act this way. I'll have to find out later from them why they are acting like this. It's not like I hit them with one of my spells to put them in this state, thought Naruto, as he began putting on his clothing, and walked up to the two girls before taking his sword out of a stunned Yugito's hands. Sending his sword away after examining it, Naruto looked at the girls' stunned forms, and blushing faces before leaving the room, hoping that the two would recover from the stupor they were in. He's so big, thought Haku and Yugito, as the memory of what they saw was forever burned into their minds before passing out after colliding with the wall from their own nosebleeds. "Don't worry, Naruto-kun. Your Anko-chan's here to love you, big boy," yelled Anko, as she came out of the room naked, ready to get herself a piece of Naruto, and was surprised when she found him not in the room. Screaming out curses at her missed opportunity, Anko retreated back into the bathroom to get dressed, and then hunt down Naruto so she could try again later. Central Tower arena floor. Several days later, the Junon lined up single file in the arena floor, as they saw the Hokage, each team's own Jounin senseis, the Chunin exam proctors, and surprisingly enough Uzumaki Naruto in all his robed glory, now practically generating enough power off his body to power a few large cities for many years. Beside him were Haku and Yugito, as both girls wore Anbu masks to hide their identities from the rest, since they wanted to stay by Naruto's side at all times should Orochimaru have the balls to come back to try finishing the blonde off. As for the boy's recovery, it had been kind of interesting for Naruto to see the reactions of the people that he walked by, as everyone who knew of his injuries were still under the assumption that he was on death's doorstep, and many jaws had become imprinted on the floor upon the sight of him. Many thought he was now ghost coming back to haunt them, or that Naruto had ascended into some kind of demigod-like state. The Hokage was no exception to this either, as the elderly Kage had just about gotten ready to stamp the boy's retirement papers before the blonde walked into his secondary office, and nearly gave the Sandaime a heart attack. When the Hokage asked what had happened, Naruto merely stated that a long dormant part of his power finally became accessible, and told the elderly man to leave it at that. It was then the Hokage decided to double his medication since the stress of the job was clearly getting to him and was going to be the death of him if the boy's explanation didn't first. Welcome to all the Chunin teams that made it this far through the Chunin exams, as you have proven you have the strength to survive the life-taking forest of death, and make it to the preliminary finals. Normally, the Leaf would skip straight to a 1-month training period for all Chunin hopefuls for the finals that come at the end of that month, but due to there still being so many of you here, we must thin the ranks further, and test you to see if you are strong enough to enter the Chunin exam finals. However, there may still be some of you who feel they are not ready for this part of the test due to the injuries you sustained in the forest of death, or you believe that your skills are not good enough to continue further. With that being the case, any individual here who feels they are not ready to fight another Chunin during the preliminaries, please raise your hand, and then announce it so you can be taken off the list, said Naruto, as he had every single one of the Chunin in the room with intense bluish-green eyes, and the power behind them made all the Chunin fidget under their gaze. Proctor, I would like to withdraw from the preliminaries, said Kabuto, as he saw those eerie eyes turn to him, and pierce into his very being that made him feel quite nervous. Very well, said Naruto, as he motioned for Kabuto to exit the nearest door, and leave his presence. That was too close. If I had stayed any longer, my old self would have come out, and that would have ruined everything. Still, I have nothing to worry about now with you there to watch everything, right Orochimaru-sama? Thought Kabuto, as he walked out with an evil smirk on his face, but when Kabuto had his back turned to walk out, he had failed to notice the blonde tilt his head slightly in a signaling manner, and the Hokage glanced at Ibiki to have Anbu take Kabuto away for interrogation. Anyone else? Said Naruto, as he saw the rest of the Chunin shake their heads, and then he turned to Anko before nodding with the woman calling for the monitor behind the wall to come out. The group waited for 2 names to appear on the screen and some wishing not to fight a certain red-haired demon vessel with psychotic tendencies. Aburame Shino versus Abumi Zaku, an enemy I know nothing about. This could cause problems, thought Shino, as he had problems with his bug still, and would have to resort to other means of disabling his foe should that become an issue. Kill him if you get the chance. By drawing first blood, we will show that sound is not a place to be taken lightly, and prove our worth to Orochimaru, said Dosu in a whisper to his teammate, and his teammate nodded with a sinister smile on his face. Right, said Zaku, as he looked forward to spilling leaf guts all over the floor, and with his weapons that won't be a problem. Be careful of the blonde Proctor. Remember what he did to Orochimaru, said Kin, as she saw her Dosu glare, and she winced at him since he could shatter her body with his arm bracers. Shut your mouth, wench. Or else I'll teach you a lesson in my own way, said Dosu, and made Kin look away since she didn't want that. Asshole. I hope you get killed during these preliminaries, thought Kin, as she watched everything from the stands like everyone else, and thought she saw a glance from Naruto up to her like he was reading her mind. She must be imaging things. Before we begin, I want everyone to know that as the proctor of the preliminaries, I am the one who approves of you killing your opponent, and to defy me will lead to your life ending here. Ready? Fight, said Naruto, as he brought his hand down, and waited for the 2 to fight. I'm going to splatter your guts all over this place, said Zaku, as he waited for Shino to attack, but the Aburame didn't, and was quickly getting impatient with the other boy. Unlikely, but if you wish to try, then I won't stop you, said Shino, as he decided to bait the sound shinobi, and see what skills his foe possessed. Oh, I'll do more than try. Decapitating air wave, said Zaku, as he extended his hands, and shot out a blast of sound from the palms. Shino, seeing Zaku's hands opening, moved in time to avoid the attack, as he brought out a kunai to his hand, and threw it at the sound shinobi's right hand, hitting the wrist in the process. Zaku cursed at Shino before pulling out the kunai, threw it away before using his left hand to fire another air wave and making the Aburame continue dodging attacks. I need to keep him busy. He only has one hand now to work with, thought Shino, as he just need to hold out a little longer, and wait for his plan to work. Is this all you can do, Leaf Shinobi? Dodge my attack while throw one little kunai at my wrist to stop one of my hands? You should have thrown 2 in order to stop me entirely, said Zaku, as he aimed his left hand Shino, who surprised everyone, except Naruto, when he didn't prepare his body to get away, and awaited the attack. You shouldn't do that, said Shino, as he knew logically his protests would be ignored, and Zaku would fire anyway. That's not much in terms of begging for mercy, but it will do for me. Decapitating air wave, said Zaku, as he tried to fire his left hand, but found it wouldn't work, and tried again only to meet with greater resistance. It seems you are having problems, said Shino, as he saw Zaku get angrier, and knew this would be the boy's downfall. "Shut up and die," said Zaku, as he tried again, but his attack wouldn't work, and instead he screamed out in pain when his arm nearly exploded off his body from the air pressure building up inside of it, forcing itself out through other means. "That kunai I threw was more than just a means of disabling your right hand, as I needed to throw you off balance from using a powerful attack like that, so I had it covered with insects from my hive, and had them crawl off under your sleeves discreetly to your left hand so they could block the flow of air in your palm. After that, I used your pride, and your anger against you in order to turn yourself into your own demise," said Shino, as he saw Zaku snarl at him, and clutched his blood arm in pain. "Abumi Zaku is unable to continue fighting. The winner is Aburame Shino," said Naruto, as he saw the sound shinobi glare at him before being taken away by the medics for his injuries, and turned his head towards the board for the next to names. "Isis Tenten vs Subaku no Tamari show time," said Tenten, as she jumped down while Tamari walked down the steps, and smirked at the bun-haired girl before looking at Naruto for a second. "Cute and strong looking. My two favorite combinations. Shame we're going through with this invasion, or else I would try asking him out after this thing was over," thought Tamari, as she tuned her attention to Tenten, and frowned when she saw the bun-haired girl also looking at the blonde. "Time to show everyone just who the alpha female was here. Ready? Fight," said Naruto, as he brought his hand down, and instantly Tenten leapt into the air, and threw several kunai at Tamari with the Suna girl quickly swung her fan to stop the weapons. "I missed? I never miss," thought Tenten, as she narrowed her eyes at the smirking Suna girl, and saw her showing the iron fan now open, revealing an orb in the fan pattern. "You, these orbs on my fan. They're really stars, and the instant I reach the third star is when victory will be mine, little girl," said Tamari, as she saw Tenten snarl at her, and the smile on the Suna girl's face increased further, knowing that this one had lots of pride. "Not if I turn you into my newest training dummy," said Tenten, as she leapt into the air, and unsealed her weapon scroll in an almost intricate dance before unleashing volley after volley of different weapons at Tamari. "Oh no, spare me," said Tamari in a sarcastic, as she used her fan again to knock those weapons away, and smiled at Tenten's frustration before seeing the weapons girl smile. "Let's see if you can do that again," said Tenten, as she used her skills with wires to call back her weapons, and sent them flying once more at Tamari. "Easily," said Tamari, as she did just that before revealing all three stars on her fan, and smiled deviously at Tenten still floating up in mid-air. "Oh crap," thought Tenten, as she realized she was a sitting duck, and was wide open for an attack. "You lose. Wind Scythe Jutsu," said Tamari, as she unleashed her fan's power upon a helpless Tenten, and saw the wind form a tornado that cut weapons girl all over from clothes to skin before the jutsu ended. Tenten had never been beaten so badly before in her life, as she felt the wind cut into her like sharp invisible blades, and prayed for the jutsu to end to make the pain go away. She got her wish, but then wished it wasn't granted, as gravity had become Tenten's enemy, and was now drawing her to the ground to go splat. Like a Nara clan head through the wall of his clan household after upsetting his wife. As for Tamari, she was feeling like adding insult to injury, or in this case further injury to Tenten's injuries by folding up her fan so the weapons in further disabled. However, the brief glance she gave to Naruto her feel hesitant in doing it since this was his arena, and had made it clear that he had zero tolerance for such things. So deciding to play it safe, Tamari decided to let gravity become the fiend here, and let it do the damage for her in this situation. After all, it wasn't every day that Gaara told his siblings to be careful of someone, and had some form of nervousness behind that sand armor on his face. Flashback during Shino and Zaku's match. "Damn, this is boring. I could find more fun seeing sand blowing off the dunes during the windy season back in Suna," said Kankuro, as he watched with a bored look on his face, and now saw Tamari was looking the same way while Gaara was looking at Naruto with slightly narrowed eyes. "Gaara, what's wrong? You've been staring at the blonde ever since we've been up here?" said Tamari, as she saw Gaara still looking, and saw Baki looking nervous since the last thing they needed was for Shukaku to influence Gaara enough to do something foolish. "Alkami, please tell me Gaara doesn't swing that way," thought Kankuro, as he saw his little brother staring at Naruto with bloodlust in his eyes, but at the same time it seemed to be weakened, and Gaara seemed hesitant for some reason. "That Proctor is very strong. Incredibly strong. Mother tells me he is the source of the light that hit us in the forest of death, and to not provoke him if his power is truly that great. If you are wise, you will listen, and don't do anything stupid to unleash that power upon us," said Gaara, as he saw his siblings, and Baki look at him in shock. Tamari looked from Gaara to Naruto, as she saw the boy watching the fight in front of him with those power-filled eyes, and felt her breath catching in her throat. If this boy was as strong as Gaara believed he was, then the plan for the invasion may not be the wisest strategy in handling the leaf like their father wanted, and wondered if calling off the invasion was still possible? End flashback. Tamari shook away her thoughts on the invasion, as she could think of it at another time, and focused on the falling leaf shinobi when her eyes widened in disbelief at the sight of the blonde proctor floating in midair with Tenten in his arms. It was like some kind of strange fantasy fairy tale seeing them like that, which for some reason made Tamari a bit angry that it wasn't her in Naruto's arms, and saw him slowly descend with Tenten clearly shocked to be in his arms while trying hard not to blush at the position she was in. Tenten wasn't the only one surprised, as the Jounin, except Kakashi since he saw him do it already, in the room had their jaws dropping, their Jinan doing the same, and certain young women in the room giving Tenten death glares at being so close to their Naruto. The weapons girl stammered apologies, but was silenced by a Naruto's hand before placing it on her shoulder, and made Tenten blush further while the dark aura around several girls increased, making their male counterparts back away slowly. "Cure," said Naruto, as he used the spell to take away the wounds the girl received from Tamari's jutsu, and ignored the flushed face Tenten now had. Thank you Naruto-sama," said Tenten, as she had heard the suffix used by the Anbu, and didn't want to insult him with anything less short of respect. It was impressive to say the least. Tenten-san. "In terms of the match, the winner of this fight in Subaku no Tamari," said Naruto, as he pointed to Tamari, who was glaring at Tenten, but decided to let it go for now, and walk up the steps while enjoying the victory she gained over the leaf. Even if it was hollowed out slightly by Tenten getting to be in Naruto's arms. As for Tenten herself, she was feeling better than ever before, as Naruto's spell seemed to take out that horrible kink in her right shoulder that she got when she was a child after tripping before hitting a rock hit, and made contact with her right shoulder. Now that pain was gone and Tenten seemed to be able to move her right shoulder better than ever. She didn't know what Naruto did exactly, but Tenten made a mental note to thank him, and made a mental note to remind Guy to ask him to join them for their celebration. Provided one of her teammates advanced, that is. Her thoughts on the matter changed when the sound of gasps were heard at the sight of the next two names listed on the board, and when Tenten looked up at the board she knew why. Hyuga Hinata versus Hyuga Neji. No. Not that. Please don't let me fight him, thought Hinata, as she looked at her cousin, and saw something close to a smirk on his face that made the poor girl's worry double if not triple at the sight. Hinata, if you don't want to fight, I will understand, and there is no shame in not fighting family, said Kurenai, as she saw that look like Hinata did, and was tempted to know it off the Hyuga boy's face. She's right Hinata. Neji is not going to hold back on you and with your kind nature, said Kiba, as he scratched his head, and looked at Shino for help. Rather than give advice on what I think you should do, I think the appropriate thing to say is what do you think you should do, and if you can go through with it? Said Shino, as he saw Hinata look deep in thought, and then looked down at the arena floor where Neji was waiting for her along with Naruto. I think that I need to do this. To show that I have improved, said Hinata, as she made her way down the steps, and now stood across from her cousin. It seems fate has decided to pit us against each other Hinata-sama. Though even I must confess that I feel some form of pity for you in the fact that fate has already declared me the winner in this fight. If you were smart Hinata-sama, you would admit defeat now, and tell the proctor that you forfeit, said Neji, as he saw Hinata look uneasy and looking at Neji, and Naruto narrowed his eyes slightly at this. I don't care. I wish to fight to prove I am strong, said Hinata, as she sees Neji's eyes narrow, and activate his Byakugan to glare at the now frightened heiress while he had to ignore the light that shined from Naruto's body. But you are not. You are a spoiled child, who has had everything handed to you while people like the Hyuga branch family have worked tirelessly to make sure you never dirty your hands, and must be shown just how weak you are. Fate will declare me the winner of this match Hinata-sama, and there is nothing you can do about it, said Neji, as he got into his gentle fist stance while Hinata looked ready to cry in a heap. Of course that was before she locked eyes with Naruto's own, and they were eyes that told her to stand up for herself. To stand up and fight. To prove she was here for all the right reasons and was willing to fight to prove it. I won't back down Neji-ni-san. I will fight you and I will win, said Hinata, as she went through hand signs, and then activated her Byakugan to prove her point. Are you two ready? Then, fight, said Naruto, as he would make sure to keep an eye on this match, and make sure that neither side did anything rash. More on Neji's end than Hinata's. The two Hyuga family members fought it out in their gentle fist taijutsu with ruthless precision, and above them Naruto overheard the Hyuga clan was currently having in the middle a private blood feud due to what happened years ago. Naruto of course knew this, which was the reason he was keeping a careful eye on the two fighters, and saw that Hinata was doing well despite being just a few years younger than Neji. However, that all changed when Neji revealed Hinata's sleeve to show that the poor girl's right arm's chakra point centers had been hit multiple times, and her mouth now leaking blood. Hinata was just as shocked as the others since she didn't know Neji's eyes were that much better than hers and how he had been able to do so much. Neji, however, just looked at Hinata with a look of cold fury, and hit Hinata back hard with an uppercut to the face that sent her head first into the ground. At this point Naruto was about to call the match, as it was clear that if it continued things would turn out even worse for Hinata, but to everyone's surprise, Naruto's included, the girl got off the ground, and continued to fight Neji. Her movements got slower, as she didn't have the chakra needed to use her Byakugan, and resorted to the taijutsu of the academy to mix with her own agility to make it more effective. However, even with that change in tactics, Neji still repelled Hinata back again with ruthless fighting that made several people flinch at the Hyuga branch members' actions, and in the stands Tenten was actually hoping that Neji would somehow lose this match. "You are beaten, Hinata-sama. Just accept your fate as the weak little girl and stay down," said Neji, as he saw his cousin on her back, and looked to Naruto to call the match. When Naruto didn't, Neji frowned at the blonde with a look that demanded the match be called, but his eyes turned to look at Hinata, and was surprised to see her struggle to get up from the ground. It was beyond comprehension in Neji's mind that this weak girl had the strength to stand up to continue fighting when it could mean certain death, but she did anyway, and looked defiantly at him.
"I am not beaten, yet Neji-ni-san, and I will not be, so long as I live," said Hinata, as had blood flowing freely from her mouth, and her eyes looked so tired.
"Then you will just have to die," said Neji, as he charged forward, and would have struck Hinata had Naruto not grabbed his arm squeezed to the point of nearly breaking it. "Hyuga Hinata is unable to fight. The winner of this match is Hyuga Neji," said Naruto, as he gave the Hyuga a cold look that said don't push it, and kicked the boy away. "Stay out of this. You may be the proctor here, but you are just a lowly commoner, and have no right to stop me," said Neji, as he was soon surrounded by the other Leaf Jounin to make sure he didn't do anything foolish. "Neji, you told me that should you fight your cousin, it would not be personal, and swore it would be strictly professional," said Guy, as he saw Neji smirk, and the heartlessness of the Hyuga prodigy concerned him. "It was professional, but the fact it was silently personal was a very nice bonus," said Neji, as he smirked at his own job of hurting Hinata, but frowned when he saw Naruto kneeling down next to the now collapsed girl, and had a hand over her chest while Haku was examining her. "She had internal injuries, Naruto-sama. We need to get her to the hospital or she will die from the heart attack he tried to create," said Haku, as she called for medics, but Naruto stopped her, and she saw his now hand covered in green chakra covering Hinata in its light. "Leave them to me, Haku. Such injuries cannot be healed by their means." "Curia," said Naruto, as he let the power of his healing spell consume Hinata completely, and ignored the shocked looks of the people around him. When the green aura died down, Hinata awoke choking on some blood that had not left her lungs, and the soothing back rub from Haku to help her along with getting it out did help. When Hinata looked at Naruto, she hugged him on impulse for saving her life, and told him she was forever indebted to his actions. Naruto for the most part simply put a hand on her back and patted it a few times since it was the only thing he knew how to do before helping Hinata up to have Haku do a brief checkup to make sure all the blood was out of her lungs. After that, Naruto turned to face a startled Hyuga Neji, and walked towards the boy with a purpose that put everyone on edge. "Why did you do that? Why did you save that weak and spoiled failure?" said Neji, as he tried to keep the fear out of his voice, but failed to have it not show on his face, and felt Naruto's eyes making his look weak by comparison. "If Hinata was weak, Neji-san, do you think she would take all the punishment that you dished out, and stare death in the face? She has been afraid of fighting family members her entire life because of her gentle nature, and the only reason I let this fight continue was because I saw in her eyes that it was what she wanted. If I had ignored Hinata's silent plea, then she would never have acquired the strength to push herself beyond her limits, and break free from such fears. As for you, Hyuga Neji, I suggest you watch yourself in my presence again, or I will break you just like you tried to break Hinata here today. The only difference is, I will succeed where you have failed," said Naruto, as he saw Neji sweating heavily from the effect of his mana putting pressure against the boy's own. Any more and Naruto would have made the Hyuga branch member's spine snap in half. "Let's go, Neji. After the preliminaries are over, we are going to have a nice long talk, and speak to your uncle about your behavior," said Guy, as he nodded to Naruto before taking his student up to the balcony, and waited for two new names to pop up. Subaku no Gaara vs. Rock Lee. Things were about to go up another notch. Thanks for listening and remember the disrespect is real. Goodbye.